Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 333.
Do you like this episode? Because it's like 333. You're a man of numbers. You kind of like those things.
I like some numbers. Yeah, 333 sounds good to me. Although I'm not a big fan of odd numbers overall.
It's not like a prime number. I mean, it's divisible.
I know. But
anyway, you're Terry Miller, the disc golf guy.
I am. Yes, we're going to get that clarified. And we've got Johnny V alongside as we are here in the Milwaukee studios, ready to give you podcast 333. Tonight, special guest in the 2021 champion of the Shelly Sharpe Memorial. That is going to be Discraft's own Adam Hammes.
The first A-tier of the season.
And Adam has defended his title from 2020 at this very event, which I happen to also capture. So I'm not going to throw around any kind of, good luck charms or thanks. None of that.
What you're saying is you're the official video provider of the Shelly Sharpe.
I have been the last couple of years. It's worked out well to be there in some capacity. This year we ratcheted it. Is that the phrase? Up like 5 or 10 or 20 notches. A couple years ago, I actually played and then would go get the last few holes of the MPO because it was my first year playing MP40. I did that for 3 rounds. Last year, I think I was in town and I was able to just get the last round, which we saw Adam win. And then this year, Gary to the O joined me. And we went out there and we gave it a much larger presence and production than what I've done in the last few years in that we did something really kind of out of the ordinary.
I loved it. Now, I didn't know what your plan was.
What's new?
Yep. I don't pay attention to what you do. I haven't even
Nor should you.
I haven't even watched the footage yet. But
It's great.
I saw a couple things. I saw a lot of you complaining about computer issues.
Not in the coverage, but
Not
on
in the
socials,
coverage, but
yes.
on social medias.
Yep.
But I did see that you released, rather than, you brought 2 cameras there, and traditionally everyone would think, oh, cool, 2 camera coverage, throw and catch. You went ahead and did 2 card coverage of 1 camera for the first round.
Yeah.
Which
I went with
great.
I don't want to say just quantity over quality. That's not quite the logic, but I thought let's spread it out a little bit. And during that first round, there's a lot of good players there, and let's see how it goes. And depending on how things shook out, I'll tell you, it was a loose plan that could have happened second round. We're going to kind of play it by ear and decide where we want to go and how we want to go about it. Gary, thankfully, is as much as he doesn't take to working cameras that often anymore, he still did a phenomenal job. Oh, yeah. And so having someone like him that's equipped in being able to do a throw or a catch or an A and a B cam was great. So I really applaud and appreciate him so much for that. And yeah, he ended up having a card that went off a little bit earlier, so he could start the editing earlier. And he ended up having 3 people on the card. It was one of the one of the earliest cards of MPO. And because of some shifting with players and whatnot, his feature card ended up being only 3 people deep, which from a rusty editor standpoint, that's 25% less work for him, but it worked out really well. And then a couple hours later, I had one of the last cards of the day in the card that I covered. And here's the craziest part. We had both rounds, both cards edited along with commentary and ready by like 1:45 that night, which for anyone that knows the system, that's good. That's solid. The fact that commentary was done from 1:45 until 7:30 a.m. I was trying to get the damn editing program, Adobe Premiere, to render and export, to like say, okay, here's all your stuff. Like just
it's not an
finalize
issue.
it.
It's not we're not going to get too much techie here, but it's not an issue you've that you're unfamiliar with. You have a graphics package that has a few quirks in it from what we're finding, and they've reared their ugly head at times more so than others, and it's something that at some point, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you need to figure out.
I'm going to have to adjust because that is the way that we made it happen still was not pleasurable. in any way, shape, or form. It ended up working. And usually I know for many years, all the media crews, whether that's Jomez or Central Coast or Ace Run or whomever, may be like, oh, yeah, the internet at the hotel sucked. My internet at the hotel was great. Shout out to First Light for providing that. The internet was great. That wasn't even the problem. It was
just your graphics.
That's how it goes. So it was really fun. And then, like I said, second round, we ended up capturing the MPL lead card, which was great. And then third round, our three highest rated players in the event had all filtered up to that top card. And there were a little bit of fireworks on it, a little bit of excitement. And hence, we're here with the winner tonight. So pretty exciting stuff.
We talked to Adam. We did a little bit of pre-prep here, just tested with him, and we told him we'd give him a call about 10 after 9 or quarter after 9 or so. So we have a few minutes to fill. Let's talk a little bit about some PDGA news, or not necessarily PDGA news, but news of the sport. One of the big names announced who he is sponsored by in Ezra Aderhold. He announced that Discraft is going to be his primary disc sponsor for the next 2 years. He made an announcement, dropped the news, showed the typical walking through the factory with Bob, showing his signature disc, all that wonderful stuff. I know he's thrown Discraft drivers in the past. I believe the Nuke and another one. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but now he's going to be doing a complete bag full of Discraft, as one does when they're sponsored by a manufacturer. So that was the big announcement. I saw James Conrad make a pre-announcement saying that he might be able to announce something on Friday. So going with the good old Terry Miller pre-announcement announcement.
Yeah,
get everyone,
gotta keep them guessing, just right at the edge of their seats.
And really, that's kind of our final two nails in the 2020 coffin, so to speak, is to figure out what those two guys were doing. So one down, one to go.
Yeah, those, like we said, those are the main ones that are lingering. Probably the highest profile players that have been kind of lingering to us getting it all figured out and nailed down. So there should be some chatter and buzz about what's going on. Ooh, was I throwing out hints? No. About what's going on with James here in a few days. So we are very excited to see what it's going to look like, just because so many people, obviously he's been synonymous with his Tour Series disc, with throwing an AVR, a JK type AVR. And yeah, I am excited to see how that's going to unfold. And then
all signs right now still pointing to MVP, but we'll see.
And then I'll be interested to see where he takes to his touring. And, of course, you expect him to see him at all the big events. I guess that's kind of a given. But when will that officially start? And how much time has he had? Has he been throwing his new sponsor's disc for the last week, the last month, the last 3 months? Well, probably not that long. How much time has he had with them? And will there be any other events that maybe aren't of the highest scale before he jumps right into something like a Vegas or a Waco or an MVP or a Memorial, anything like that? I guess that is another good question.
I don't think so. I think he goes right to the big show. With those.
And I say that because I think about last year, Paige Pierce. The first time I saw her, we all saw her throwing her new sponsor in Discraft. Well, she was in Thailand, and so I don't want to say it was just a practice round. Clearly, she had thrown the disc and whatnot. But the fact that James may go right to the big stage, and we'll see what happens.
It's going to be exciting, an exciting year. We have it is so close right now. It feels like it's tomorrow that the season starts. We got about a month. But I don't know. There's so much yet to do. We're still nailing things down for the live production. We're still, I just got an email today from Sean Jack, who's now a full-time member of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He's kind of our sponsor relations, so he's taking care of a lot of things like commercials and sponsor ads and all that other stuff that we're going to see this year. So I'm communicating with him to make sure we got all those ducks in a row. UDisc made an announcement today about some new features on their platform. Basically, it's a mapping system for your throws. So if you want, you can just hit one, I landed in the fairway. Or now you can go to the spot where your disc landed and hold down a button on the thing, and it marks it on the map as to where you're throwing.
Well, that could be dangerous for some people.
It could be. It very well could be. Well, most of your throws may not have signal where they land.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But so that's kind of an exciting new tool for them. I can't imagine. I don't know. It could be very cool. I think it could show you after, a year or two some really cool statistics if you play the same course over and over and over. Like, I constantly am ending up off far left or something.
I always hit that damn tree.
Yeah. Why is hole 3 always only 50 feet off the fairway?
And hole 9, I'm always throwing from the edge of the lake. Damn it! Why?
And so naturally, I've seen some things on the internet that have asked, like, "Oh, is this type of thing going to come to the Disc Golf Pro Tour?" And I'm here to tell you and announce, absolutely not right now. There's nothing that they're doing right now that's going to make it to the Pro Tour this year. Maybe next year, depending on what happens. Just one of our frustrations at times with UDisc, and it's not with UDisc, it is with a lot of the with the scorers, is that the timeliness. A lot of times, everybody throws. The players will all walk up the fairway. They'll get to their next throw, and then the scorer will put in the score. It's like, sometimes it's required. Maybe you don't know if someone goes out of bounds, but there are plenty of times it's not. And so what we see a lot of times is delayed stats on our system, which rely directly on UDisc. So it sounds like with this particular way of scoring, you have to wait till you get to where the disc is and then mark it. And I don't know if there's a way, like if I'm standing at the tee box, to mark where the disc landed on the map.
Yeah.
But so don't get your hopes up, people. This is still very early stuff. It's a really cool feature, and I'm excited to test it out someday when when it warms up here, and B, when I get out to a course. But until then, we're not going to see anything like that on the Pro Tour. No.
Well, what I'll say before we get next up will be Adam, but what I will say to that is this weekend in doing 4 rounds of commentary, it became just that much more evident and obvious as to how valuable and how resourceful UDisc is, even from a commentating perspective, because I can obviously guess or speculate as to a hole that I think is playing hard or easy or whatever when you're out there and you see the players, whether it's on your card or you just have a general feel for it. The PDGA has a few basic statistics, which I don't think even a lot of people know, but there are some basic statistics when you're out there and you're seeing live scoring for any event that's using it. So certainly utilize those. I can see exactly who parred, who birdied really, and you can see what hole is playing the toughest strictly by average score. So that is at least a little bit of something. Like, I feel like this is one of the easier holes on the course, and it will tell you, yeah, okay, this was the second easiest hole statistically. But you don't have all of the in-depth analysis and all of the details and the breakdown that we're used to having in UDisc anytime you're on the Pro Tour. So still big props to PDGA scoring, because it does keep people informed, and you can be watching along for everything that's happening live in real time. But clearly it's not built out the way that we've been spoiled with our friends over at UDisc. And the last point I'll make on UDisc is everything you just said about the mapping and about all this integration and whatnot. I wonder if anyone's going to change their position from saying they feel like Bill Gates is trying to microchip and program them.
Geez, yeah.
UDisc, Matt and Josh clearly are trying to get in everyone's head and follow them along and
just track
document and track their every move.
I know we've talked about this after show, and that's always my big joke when people say, "Oh, or you see some conspiracy theorists like, oh, Bill Gates is going to track." And I say, we don't need it.
Yeah, we've got a phone in your pocket.
You've got a phone in your pocket. You can, and Matt and Josh. So.
Matt and Josh are in my pockets all the time, and I don't know if I like it yet. Well, all right, what I do like is our champion from this weekend. He is now a back-to-back champion at the Shelly Sharpe Memorial. Coming way of Arizona, yet through Wisconsin in our hearts, our champ, Adam Hammes. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
I missed you on the plane. It was 77 on Sunday and about 20 when I landed, but I didn't see you on my plane in Wisconsin.
I didn't catch that flight.
Dang.
Why would he catch that flight? Why would he come out back east to go back out west in just, a few weeks? Why not just spend a little bit more time in the sun and fun?
I guess so. Adam, first of all, congratulations again. Solid performance this weekend. You made a post today, and maybe you could, paraphrase it or read it, but what does it mean to you to have a victory at a large scale event like this, and then to come back and be able to defend your title a year later?
It feels great because I've won. I think the Shelly was the 4th A tier I won, and I haven't defended any of my A tier wins in the past. So this was my first time defending an A tier, and it felt really good. Like, I wanted to win more than anyone. I think I went out there, I gave it my all.
And you did it in epic fashion. I mean, the first round, Gibson was 9 under. You were, hold on, I need to scroll for a second. You were only a 3 under par, so he had you by 6 strokes. You come back the second round, you have a pretty hot round, shooting 11 down, but Gibson shoots another 9 down to keep him up by 4 strokes. And all Gibson has to do then is shoot a third 9 down to get to 27, but he doesn't do it. And Adam here shoots a 13 under par, birdieing the first 8 holes out of the Vista XL, and then missed one, but then got 3 more. So what?
And yet a couple layups there.
and Gibson has a disappointing 4 under, and you take home the victory by a handful, 5 strokes. So I mean that's a great come from behind win there.
Yeah. So we talked about it for anyone that didn't see the final interview that you and I did. There was actually a little equipment adjustment. We'll go with that. Describe to everyone that may not have seen or heard about that.
So yeah, if people don't know, I wear daily contacts because I have astigmatism, and I think it was a week before the Shelly, I actually ran out of contacts. I just wasn't paying attention, ran out, didn't realize how many were left in the box. And I called my dad. I was like, hey, we need to get more contacts. And they didn't come. They didn't come, and they didn't come, and they didn't come. And all of a sudden, we're like 2 days into the Shelly, and they're still not here. And I had to practice all week blind, basically, and then play the first 2 rounds basically blind. And then they finally showed up on Saturday, and I got them for the final round, which was like that boost of confidence. And it was like, I really needed them for that final round.
And you don't have any glasses?
I don't wear glasses, no.
Okay. Will you invest in a pair now, maybe? Should you have a backup pair?
You just wear my contacts right before I fall asleep, and I take them off. And the next day, I have new ones.
Okay. I'm just saying a thought I had might be, hey, just have a pair of glasses, even if you only put them on twice in a year in an emergency. I feel like rounds 1 and 2 would have counted as an emergency.
Yeah.
He didn't need it. Didn't need it.
As
someone said, he played the course blind.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thankfully, you play out there all the time. I feel like half your Instagram posts are you and AB out at Vista. Usually it's on hole 8 because it's the most beautiful hole out there. What is a practice and off-season routine look like for you right now?
So usually wake up, I don't know, pretty early and then play disc golf all day. That's basically all the plan is. Me and AB probably play 1 to 2 rounds a day at Vista every single day, and we always play for money. It's always $5 a stroke, so always playing for something, always battling with each other, and you just got to keep it interesting. And yeah, we pretty much play every single day at Vista.
You can be honest. Who's up? Who's
Yeah.
up cash by the end of we got a month to go.
When it comes to practice rounds, it's always $5 my way, $5 his way. It's always back and forth.
Okay,
it's hard to say right now.
So things are relatively close between the two of you.
Definitely.
So it was a good battle, and coincidentally, 2 of your frequent tour mates and friends being Drew Gibson and AB. What is that like? That lead card, you kind of practice with each other, you talk to each other, you're good friends off the course, but what's that like coming down the stretch in a battle with those 2 guys?
I think coming down the stretch with 2 of my best friends like that is like almost, it's like less nervy. There's like not as enough. We've played so many rounds together. We've done this before, and obviously we all want to win and stuff. So like it almost makes it more special and more fun.
Oh, I guess beating good friends as opposed to beating not so good friends. That's one way to look at it.
The nice thing about beating good friends is that you can really rub it in with them. Yeah. I mean, you can really kind of dig that knife in, and it's all friendly.
Yeah, I mean, so you're staying at AB's house during this portion of the season, right?
Yep.
Okay. So will you ever be like, hey, do you think we should do some dusting today? Like 2 of my Shelly Sharpe trophies over there. Should we dust those?
I don't know. I haven't got this year's Shelly trophy yet.
Okay. Obviously 2020 really jacked up, for lack of a better term, because of COVID. Unfortunately, things weren't much better, as of this weekend in Arizona. So still in really a kind of a COVID mentality. Is that weird because there's still not fans, even though we had a lot of people kind of trying to hang out on the sidewalk and whatnot? But what's that like playing in these situations and conditions?
Yeah, I personally like fans. It makes like the vibe of the tournament it's what makes a disc golf tournament, in my opinion. So like not having all the spectators last year, definitely something just always felt off. I would see people throw literally incredible shots, incredible putts, and there was no one there to clap. It's just a little weird. Stuff like that. I think having fans is ideal for growing the sport and stuff like that. So,
and with where you are, do you anticipate a perfectly, we'll say, typical or opening to the season? Are we going to see you at Vegas and then at Memorial, Waco, so on and so forth? Is that your plan? Kind of break down the early part of your tour here.
Yeah, so we're going to Vegas. Jeff Corns and I are traveling in the RV this year.
Okay.
And we'll be teaming up. We're going to tour together this year. And then, we're going to hit Vegas. We're going to go to Memorial. Then we'll be at Waco, Texas States. And then I'll basically be at every pro tour, all the national tours, and then a couple in between. Then hopefully run some small like clinic double events in between on off weekends and stuff like that.
Okay. And maybe that answers the question. AB, who you have played with and you're good friends with, he is still planning on attending school come fall. Is that?
Yes, he's going to school this semester, and then
okay. So not on the tour, but maybe we'll join you guys come summer.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not sure what restrictions are with the RV and stuff like that, but definitely, hopefully, travel with him a little bit as much as I can.
What are some of the things that keep you guys busy? I know you just said you practice. You guys play, a couple rounds, sometimes a couple rounds a day. Do you find yourselves doing any kind of leagues? Do you commit to a certain amount of putting at the house, or like what are some of the other things that fill your day besides just 1 or 2 rounds of golf?
The Desert Flyers group down here is really great to hang out with. They always run like pop-up $1 skins, $2 skins. They'll have like the Conocido doubles. We have a sanctioned league at Vista. We have the Root Beer Float League at Emerald. So we jump around to those once in a while, but not too much recently because we've been preparing for the Shelly, and then we have Maricopa in 2 weeks. So we do bounce around to the leagues.
Do you do any dedicated like traditional practice right now? I mean, are you sitting in front of a basket for half hour, 45 minutes, just working on a putt, working on a specific shot, or is it more just right now, you have everyone knows your putt is one of the hottest ones in the game when it gets on, from any distance, honestly, or are you more so just get out and play and get that feeling?
Yeah, more or less just getting out playing, just keeping the reps going, staying healthy, staying warm, just keeping my mind on disc golf, because that's the biggest thing. You take your mind off of disc golf for a week and you're going to forget a few things. And so basically just play every day. I don't necessarily sit in front of a basket for an hour a day and putt. But when my putt does get shaky, I'll go and I'll correct it and sit by a basket for longer than I usually do.
Backtrack for 1 second. What's the Root Beer Float League?
Root Beer Float League.
Sounds like a league I want to be part of.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't even know what the reason for calling it Root Beer Float is. I think there was something to do with Root Beer Floats, but before I knew, it's been going on forever. But it's at Emerald Park and it's a singles league, and I was like,
okay.
I honestly,
it's just a unique name.
It really is, and it harkens back to a long time ago when you and I would play at Plowman, and the last hole, if you went over the fence, you owed everyone ice cream, and that's all I think of, and like ice cream floats, root beer.
It's sure there's some Root Beer Floats that has to deal with it. So.
I got to find the Cherry Cheesecake League. That's all I know, wherever that might be. Anyway, so a couple weeks, I'm super excited. In a couple weeks, I return to Arizona for the Maricopa event, which I think will be maybe even the 6th year that I've been there for it. the style of those two courses still relatively open. I feel like obviously that could be said in a lot of the southern or central Arizona courses. Do you like that things are relatively open in the beginning of the season and then it gets progressively tighter and tighter with kind of more woods as the season goes on, or does it really matter to you what you're playing or practicing in?
Not too much. I mean, there's courses around here with some shots that you can like hit gaps with, but for the most part, it's over the top shots. It doesn't really affect me too much. When we get to the woods, we get to the woods. That's when we'll. I mean, just like anyone, have to adapt on the tour and like.
Sure. So there was a few comments in the YouTubes, and those are always the nicest places. But there were a few comments about. I think I had made a reference to you throwing far or potentially keeping up with Drew. And boy, oh boy, was that not the right thing to say, because apparently the Drew train rides hard. Say that again?
On hole 7, you said I throw as far as Drew.
Yeah, right, so did you gasp? Did you cringe? Did you laugh? Like what was your reaction? Maybe we'll start there. What was your reaction when I said that?
I don't know. I was like, there's no way he's just saying that.
I mean, it's maybe.
But I read the comments and there was a bunch of people who were like, Drew doesn't throw as far as, or Adam doesn't throw as far as Drew, XD, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
I can only imagine that. I mean, we know distance and we know golf distance. I mean, out in a field, Drew is phenomenal, but I can't imagine you're that much shorter than him in regular golf distance. Like on a course for accuracy, good 30, 40 feet maybe? Like,
I mean, golf lines are golf lines, but when it comes to like full flex shots, Drew's definitely throwing it way further than I am.
Yeah.
All right, so then let's put it to rest so I can go, make good with all my friends on the internet. Raw distance, Drew's throwing as hard as he can for a distance competition, and so are you. How far is he throwing, and how far are you throwing? Just
Drew's
raw.
gonna be pushing 600 feet, and if I get one like 550 plus, that'd be good for me.
Okay, so it's not like you throw It's not like you throw 310 and he throws 710. I mean, yes, he throws farther than you, but people were making it sound like it was the most insane, ridiculously stupid comment ever.
No, you've made way stupider comments on the regular.
I agree. All right. So what did you share that with Drew? Was he offended when I said that?
I don't know if he even knows.
What were you thinking? The very first hole, you hit a really good putt. Drew does not have a solid putt to start, and then he actually misses his par putt. So you pick up 2 on him. You cut the lead from 4 down to 2 on the very first hole. But Drew clearly wasn't in the same element he was in the previous 2 days. So what were you thinking as you were racking up birdie after birdie after birdie? What's going through your mind with relation to maybe what's going through his mind? Like, how are you feeling about him and about, the chase?
Yeah, I was just trying to get as many birdies as I can, just put the pressure on. I mean, obviously 4 in hole 1 and me making a 35-footer in hole 1 for birdie, taking 2 right away, like, he's already shooken up, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, let's get a few more birdies, keep racking them up, and let's really shake these guys up and see what happens. So that was kind of my goal, just keep pressing, keep trying to birdie, and just keep putting the pressure on as hard as I could.
Did you mentally think at all about the par then on 9, which I know many would argue it averaged 3.61 on the final day? It almost always averages that or worse. But in your head, were you like, okay, yeah, 3 is fine, or taking a 3 is fine?
Hole 9 is one of those holes that I don't ever play for birdie. Like the last 3 Memorials I've played, I've never played that hole for birdie. I always play a hole for par. I'm glad with the par on that hole. Every time I throw that over the top shot, I throw it in the water.
Okay.
So I just concede to 3 on that hole every single time I play it, and it always works. I mean, it averages out like a 3 every time.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're picking up strokes on the field usually by doing that. And then I have to challenge you a little. At a certain point on like 14, I'm thinking, wow, I should cut this out as a separate additional round. This is going to be a scorching round. And it was a great round. But then we get to 15, 16, and you laid up. I mean, smart play. It's what you should do.
16's on the hill.
And he was at the bottom of the hill.
You know, we've seen in the past. And
I know,
old school.
Your putter was hot. Why? Come on. Just throw it in the basket. Give us the highlights.
I knew I was going to make it, but I wanted to defend so bad I wasn't going to mess with taking a spy. I've seen it happen on that hole so many times. I just didn't want it to happen to me, so I just laid up.
See, he's not the young, impetuous kid he used to. He's a smart, touring player now.
I know. It was the right play.
He wanted the $1,300, Terry. That's a great way to start your season off.
I know. And then he lays up on 18. Come on. You've got it in the bag on 18. The worst you walk away with is a 4 there. If you go at it, you maybe miss Amanda or go OB.
You're like the devil on his shoulder at this point.
But like I'm thinking about you, Adam. I'm thinking this is going to be the Adam Hammes highlight, like special breakout reel that I'll put together in addition to the footage. You know, Adam Hammes shoots 1,100 to open the season. Like that's what I'm looking for. We all want the clicks, and you're laying up.
I think if I didn't take that 4 on 13, I would have just laid up and then ran the putt on 16, and then I think I would have parked 18. It would have been a 16 under. I think that would have been 11.
Then we're talking. Yeah.
I think I did it, but one bad shot and just 2 layups.
Your one bogey leads you to a couple layups and rattles you.
Yeah, 2 more strokes. If everything stays consistent, 2 more strokes would have been a 1097.
Okay, well, it would have been awesome. Separate highlight video.
Wow. He's got all season.
So $1,300 or so. That I think a little over that, right? Averages to a little over 1,300 plus for the last 2 years. Not a bad way to start the season. Someone asked on the board, and it's a great question. What's a goal of 2021? You can be really specific, or it can be a little bit vague. But like, what do you feel like is a legitimate goal of yours in 2021?
Play consistent. I mean, just try to improve on last year. Play more consistent than I did last year. More top finishes. I think this year it's going to be a little easier for me to stay more focused and really, really get my mind where it needs to be to play well. So that's kind of the goal.
Did you have any sort of issues last year? Like, was there a point in the tour where you kind of you were worn out, or you just mentally were kind of like, I need a break, and I'm still here.
Last year with all the COVID restrictions and not knowing and knowing and not knowing and knowing, just like it's really hard to like get into a routine and stay focused. So like it just kind of threw me off a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, and even if some of those precautions or demands or situations are the same, at least you now have them. You know, you're used to them, and you know what those are all about. And we'll see. What did it mean for you, for the Pro Tour specifically, to be able to keep forging forward? I mean, disc golf's your life. It's your career. It's everything I feel like you're, mainly passionate about. What did that mean that, hey, we got the season up and running again when tons of other events just flat out didn't happen?
I think it's great. I think it shows how dedicated the Disc Golf Pro Tour is. I think they're killing it. They're setting the pace for touring disc golf right now. I'm beyond excited to see what 2021 has to offer with the Pro Tour. I think there's going to be some pretty crazy things happening this year, and pretty excited to be a part of it.
What would you say if you had everything in the world at your fingertips? What would you say would be one thing you'd love to either see enhanced or changed or altered or fixed or addressed? If you had it your way, is there anything out there that you feel like in disc golf that you maybe it's on the Pro Tour or at tournament scenes, is there anything that you'd love to see tackled or addressed?
I don't know. It's hard to say. There's so many great things happening right now. It's hard to think of another great thing to happen because there's probably a lot I can think of, but not really at the moment.
I mean, if you don't have a list of 5 things that you're complaining about,
it's pretty good
off the top of your head, then it seems like life's pretty good, right?
I think the Pro Tour is absolutely killing it. I don't really have any opinions to improve on it. I think they're doing as best as they can right now.
All right, let's talk about wishes, hopes, and dreams. If you had to pick one pro tour event that you knew you were going to win one event this year on the pro tour, not the finale, we'll say, because that would be a great one to win. But which one would you want under your belt? Which pro tour event?
Probably like Ledgestone.
All right.
Is Ledgestone a pro tour?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Ledgestone would be the one to win if I had to win one.
Awesome.
Okay. I mean, that kind of ties in. Somebody asks, Tour Series disc. Have those all been finalized, or are you? How's that work with Discraft?
I'm not sure yet about mine. There was talk of potentially changing it, potentially staying with the Wasp. So I honestly have no idea yet. It's still in the works. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd hope Discraft would be on top of that so that you guys are all ready to go. Why? Give a little insight. Why would you think about changing it? Is it because you're throwing it more or less, or is it because of sales and something might be more popular? What goes into your mind as to what you want to see in a Tour Series disc?
I don't really have anything in mind. I mean, there is discs that I would obviously love, like the Zone, like the Force, but those discs are hard to get with your name on it. So I don't know. It's not really it's just comes down to sales, I guess. Sure. If you foresee this disc selling more than this disc, then maybe go with that one. Stuff like that. Just basically you gotta love the disc too. So not necessarily love it, but you gotta sell it. So.
And everyone thinks it probably should be something in your bag because you want to be able to promote that particular disc. Like this is obviously your series.
I wouldn't have a Tour Series disc if I didn't throw it. So that's basically.
What's in your bag right now? Has anything broken into your bag recently that wasn't there last year, or
you pick up any Marauders lately? Typhoons?
X-Clone. Get that X-Clone in your bag. It's stable.
The newest addition to my bag that's excelled my sidearm is the ESP Nuke.
That's stable enough for you? Yeah,
these new Page Pierce ones they came out with are domey, and they actually hold some pretty good stability. They have a lot of glide and they're really fast. I've always I always thought oh, Nuke's squirrely, it's gonna flip. It's gonna be really angle touchy. But then I tried these ones and it's it's crazy. That's that blue disc for all those crazy sidearms at Vista.
Okay. And do you feel I mean, obviously, again, we go from more open to a little bit more wooded throughout the year, but do you feel like your bag really changes much throughout the year, or do you just rely on different discs that are already in your bag?
Yeah, I'll take a couple boxes on the road of discs that I know, the molds I like. And sometimes down here, I don't have any Undertakers in my bag. I don't have any Heats in my bag. I don't have any Buzz SSs in my bag. Just more stable stuff down here. But once we get in the woods, I'll take some of those more oversale discs out, and I'll transition to some discs that hides or flip and flip it out. I kind of build my bag per tournament. So I'll bring 2 boxes, go to a tournament, and I'll play one practice round and be all right, if I need this disc, that disc, then come out and just figure out each disc for each tee shot and stuff like that. So I basically kind of slightly modify my bag from tournament to tournament if needed.
Now I know all the manufacturers are struggling to keep inventory or to get it replenished, really. Will you make a visit to Discraft anytime before either the Ledgestone or before D-Glow? Will you go there anytime before that or no?
Nothing's scheduled right now, but I might go out there before. But otherwise, I'll be there for D-Glow for sure.
Okay. What is that like to go to a factory and wander around for a few hours and then kind of handpick discs that you're going to be throwing? Explain what that's like to anyone that hasn't had that experience.
It's pretty crazy. There's so many discs in your face. You're overwhelmed. You don't know which ones to grab. Does this one feel good? Does that one feel good? And they're all the same. They're all the same run, but you just can't tell. They're all so pretty. It's pretty sweet. And for me, I have to pick my discs. I have to hand pick my discs. I'm not a guy that's gonna go online and order discs because they'll come and they just might not be it. I have to pick up every single disc I grab and know if it's going to be the right one. So it's pretty nice. You get to hand pick and see which ones.
Yeah. Do you ever have a number in mind of okay, I'm not leaving with less than 100, or I gotta stock up and I need X amount? Do you have a number in mind when you try and go pick out discs?
Well, I have an allocated amount per year, so I have to stay around that number. So
okay.
the year, one trip to the year, one trip to the factory a year, and then I'll just grab my 100, and then
Okay. And
those
now
for the
Paul just grabs whatever he wants. He just grabs them by like the carload and leaves, right?
yeah, we'll just grab some pallets and leaves.
I think they actually usually have a car there for Paul. Like, Paul, your this year's car is here. And we already filled it with discs, and just take it.
Yeah, just drive off. So a lot of people online are talking about, obviously, Johnny mentioned as well, your super solid putting, and when you can see the basket at least, but your super solid putting. What goes into the thought process for the putter you have now? Explain what it is to everybody, and then kind of what goes through the thought process as to why you use that particular putter and mold.
Yeah, definitely. So I use a beaded putter. I use the Discraft Focus. It's like, I don't like to compare discs, but I'd compare it to a Wizard. A Gateway Wizard. It's very similar to that. And the plastic blend is a CT Jawbreaker Hard, I believe. It's basically just like a Jawbreaker blend and CT plastic blended together. And it gives it more like a tacky, softer feel, because the CT alone is super stiff, and you have that Jawbreaker in there, and it kind of like gives it that perfect amount of tackiness. And then for the bead, I like the stability. So yeah, so like a firm, tacky, stiff putter is what I'm looking for. And that's basically what the CT Focus is.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting combo, because anytime, like you were just saying, anytime I think about Jawbreaker stuff, often that's considered relatively soft, right?
Yeah, the regular Jawbreaker is very soft.
Okay, so at what point did that? I don't even think I realized that was a mixture of Jawbreaker and the CT stuff. At what point would that come about? Was that a while ago?
Yeah, last year I requested a stiffer focus from Discraft. I was like, I really like the mold. The putter's great, and I would just like to see it stiffened up a little bit. So they came out with those, and that's what I've been putting with since. And it honestly is the best putter I've ever used in my life. They killed that run.
Well, I was just gonna say, now that's being used in Arizona. 77 degrees. You're gonna see a lot of different conditions yet this year. Hopefully they're going to be mostly warm, but there's going to be a few chilly days out there. How does that putter react for you? Because I know some people, may really love a putter, but during half the year they don't love it, or they actually switch to something else. How does that putter react in the various conditions for you?
It reacts very well. I'll use it pretty much everywhere, unless I go up to like Wisconsin. I'm playing in 20-degree weather. I might switch to a Jawbreaker one, but for the most part, if it's above 40 degrees, I'll be using the CT all the way till 100 degrees.
Okay.
They get a little soft once it gets really warm, but I like a softer putter. I can adapt. I don't know. I like, if it gets too stiff, it gets too soft, it's really not too bad. It's all about how my hand, how sweaty it is, and just like the release. I don't think the stiffness of the putter is too much, but yeah.
Yeah, you're a guy, and I noticed it on the very first hole even this weekend. You're a guy that really, I don't want to say you struggle with maybe hand moisture, but it seems like maybe you do. Is that a fair way to put it? Like, you seem to rely on the birdie bags, more often, or the whale sacks more often than a lot of our other players.
Yeah, I rely on the whale sack for every single shot. My hand's got to be perfect. My hand sweats a ton, so I have to constantly get it dry. And I'll put it on the disc and that literally this part of my hand could still be wet, and I have to get that dry. And I have to get it pretty much perfect before I can release.
Is that nerves? Or, I mean, if you were at a putting league, would you have to rely on it that much, or maybe you do out of just a habit? But
putting league, but when it's the sun's beating on your hands, I mean, my skin just sweats just in this Arizona sun, so your hands get pretty sweaty pretty quick. So I'll constantly have that whale sack in my hand, constantly keep my hand dry. I'll pretty much never take it out of my right hand as soon as I'm done throwing. I'll just keep it in there and keep it dry. So
it's weird for first dates when you go to shake your first date's hand and you have to whale sack.
Do you have a whale sack in your hand?
That's awfully strange, but
this is my whale sack. You got a problem with that, woman? This is my whale sack.
I prefer the whale sack. The whale sack is the best rosin dry bag I've used. So,
and are you not on the whale sack team?
I'm not on the team, but Tina sent me a little care package last week, so I can.
Very nice.
All right, Tina. I mean,
appreciate you, Tina.
Get the boy what he needs here. I mean, I don't know what more of a plug you need there. No, that's very cool, and it's something I have actually noticed quite a bit. You seem to rely very heavily on it, and obviously seems to be very effective for you. Is there anything between now and March, well, I should say, February, 5 weeks from now or so, we were just talking about Vegas. Is there anything at all that you'll do out of the ordinary? Will you, and maybe it's off the course, any trip you want to go take or random thing you want to go get done or accomplish or visit, or is there anything you want to do before the tour gets hot and heavy?
Not really. No trips. Mainly just stay focused with disc golf right now. Just keep playing every day. Get ready for the season. And then, try to defend Maricopa in 2 weeks. That's gonna be on my mind. I'm gonna start practicing down there. So that's the next goal. And then, get ready for Vegas, basically.
Describe the Maricopa courses. That event has continued to grow year after year. Now it's 2 courses, like a couple hundred people there. The 2 rounds of 27, but kind of describe the golf give everyone a little bit of a tease of what we're going to see in a couple weeks.
It's very, very deuce or die. You got to get a lot of birdies. I think it's 2 27-hole courses we play?
Yep.
So you gotta get some birdies. There's not too many holes over 500 feet. So.
And I haven't looked at the registration lately. How is that looking? Who's who you going up against? Do you know?
I can take a look. I'm not sure.
I'll take a quick look here as well. Again, super excited to be out there. 65. Holy cow! 65 open players now.
What weekend is that?
And it's 2 weeks from now. So, Adam, you're the highest rated player. Clint Calvin coming in from San Diego. He's rated 1033. AB, who we saw last year there. I think AB cut his event a little short. I think he had too much fun one of those nights. Austin Hannum, who we've seen there the last few years, Jordan Castro, Cam Messerschmidt, Aaron Gossage, Nick Newton are some of your highest rated players. And of course, the Herr brothers are going to be there. So, you're going to still have some work to do out there, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
65 open players. Holy cow. I don't even think I realized it was that many.
Oh, that's B tier.
That is
a B tier?
It's a B tier. It's listed as a B tier. But we know that, he's done phenomenal in fundraising throughout the years, and it's usually been a pretty stout payout, and obviously stiff competition with 65 open competitors there for the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And Maricopa, for those who don't know and haven't been blessed to visit Arizona so much like I have the last few years, 45 minutes to an hour, depending where you are in the Phoenix area. It's about 45 minutes to an hour south. Is that right?
Yeah, if you're like Mesa, 45. If you're Phoenix, Tempe, Scottsdale, closer to an hour probably.
And so everybody will head down there, and it's 2 rounds, 27, like we just said, and should be a really good time with some stiff competition. Adam, is there anything else that we need to touch on here tonight? Any secrets, any teases, anything you need to share with the world here on SmashBoxx?
I don't think so.
We got it all? Yeah, we got it all out of you?
We got it.
Until his next win, then we'll have him back.
I know. I mean, hey, when you keep winning, you got to visit us. All right. Well, again, congratulations. It was a really solid performance. I think it was fair to say there were some people that would have bet against you after round 1 and Drew, playing well and everything else, you being 6 back, but you came and you took care of business in those last 2 rounds. It was very impressive.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, we're going, give one more. We always give, please, any shout outs, thanks, sponsors, anyone you want to recognize or give a shout out to, please do.
Shout out Discraft. They've been stepping it up crazy. They're really helping me out right now. They're absolutely killing it. In love with them. Shout out Grip Equipment, carrying my disc, my sweet grip bag, and then Resistance disc. Jeff and I have been killing it lately. I'm just really excited for 2021. Thank you guys for having me on, and I'll see you guys out there on the tour.
All right.
Sounds great, Adam.
Have a good night, Adam. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, see ya. Again, Adam Hamish. And he wants to get a shout out in there for the Barella family for hosting him.
Of course.
I'll help
and
him
maybe
with
whale sacks in the future.
I'm not saying I need a commission of some custom whale sacks for
Easy there, Perkins. I mean, don't be stepping on Nate's. He talked last week about how
that's
he's looking
true.
at, we don't need you all up in the business.
But up in the business is where I like to hang out. All right. Looks like is my daughter out on the board?
She is. She's begging for more internet, Terry.
She wants the
I
internet. I
almost put her in a timeout, a YouTube timeout.
That would be funny. Well, if she's still listening, she should see that I slightly extended the internet. She's up a little later tonight. Virtual schooling kind of sort of takes place on Wednesday. I know she was in school today. So, Kenzie, I know the only time you listen to your dad is when I'm on a podcast telling you could have internet. So, just use it for a few minutes and then go to bed.
Yeah, that's
because I know that's what you'll do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, Paul Yulibarri is out on the board. I'm not going to mention how I may have told Pete recently that he was my favorite Yuli, only because he graciously provided some drone footage of all of the drone hole previews that we had out there for the Shelly Sharpe this weekend, and he said if he has some time, he's going to try and tackle getting the other 2 courses for the Maricopa in 2 weeks.
Oh wow,
so,
that's phenomenal.
Besides, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, Pete, but also all of the viewers, of course, appreciate it anytime you can have some drone previews. So with him being all, hip to the flying stuff as he is. Thank you so much, Pete. I can't say enough. And also,
I was going to say, we're going to have to get Yuli on the show at some point in the next couple weeks, talk about, Discraft's team in general, how big it's getting, and, how many calls is he fielding these days from all those little peons under him.
Yeah, exactly, as he's dealing with that. Also, another huge quick shout out, though, Chris Cobb, who so graciously comes out to almost all the events that I come to in Arizona, and if he's not already doing other work with the event, he also then helps out. I said I may have drank more water on Saturday than I ever have on any other course at any other time, because every hole practically he's handing me a bottle of water to make sure that I'm staying hydrated. So Chris, I love you, buddy, and I certainly appreciate it. Along with, like I said earlier, the guys over at First Light, Dan and Boyd, and then the rest of the crew. Thank you guys so much, who stepped up instantly and said, hey, I want to make sure that you got a good place to lodge for the weekend, and just sent me a confirmation and said, here's your hotel for the weekend. Wow. Enjoy. So
nice.
Thank you. Thank you to you guys. I can't say it enough. I appreciate it. All right, and then final note, I am a little still ticked off at Drew Gibson, because if he would have just hit a car during the final round, Ryan Pilcher said, I have $100 on anyone that can hit a vehicle. And this is kind of the story from last year where Terry Roethlisberger in the final round threw a very errant shot.
Over the fence?
Yeah, and so Ryan Pilcher had that in mind, and normally I don't root for cars to get hit, but when Drew yanked his drive on 16 way to the right, and it went toward the hotel across the street on 16 up the hill, all I'm thinking is, hit a car, hit a car, hit a car, and it went right in between 2 cars.
Oh.
Like, just hit the damn car. Papa needs a $100 bill from Ryan Pilcher.
That's true. Up on the board there, Yuli, if you had to take a rough guess at how many cars you've hit out at Vista, I'd love to know. Just put a number in there, a rough estimate.
I mean, let's be real. That's what they get for parking near the park.
Yeah, which kind of brings us maybe to another subject, which we've talked about before, which is the course itself. And there was questions this year about, why isn't the Memorial on the Pro Tour this year? And I think a lot of it has to do with the park. Closing the park. I had heard through the grapevine that Drew Gibson almost took somebody out on your footage. It was very close to hitting somebody.
Yeah,
was it second round maybe? Or
yeah,
and again, this is what happens at Vista, because, and especially right now when more people are probably outside enjoying the weather because everything else is closed in the world, the park gets busy, and some of those shots on Vista XL that they play, you throw along or those walking trails, and it can be very dangerous. And so it becomes a big liability, which I think played a lot into why the Pro Tour is probably not going to be played at the Memorial.
Yeah, and I will agree with you, but then I will also add on to that Keith and the crew and everyone are doing their best to mitigate those possibilities. unfortunately, errant shots, even from the best of our best, can still happen. But I have to give them a ton of credit because what they're also doing is implementing more Mandos and having usually additional staff and signs and notifications to the passerbys and to the other park patrons of what's going on out there.
Oh,
so
and by all means, I'm not saying they're not doing everything
no,
they
of
can.
course. I know. And I just want to put that out there as well, though, that they have been really working on. And you see within the coverage, and even for yourself, who maybe hasn't consumed it all, they've added a half dozen Mandos that are strictly for the idea of keeping people away from the sidewalk and keeping people as safe as possible. Again, there's always the chance for an errant shot. We all know that, no matter how good, no matter who the player is. But by having these mandatories, it's obviously incentivizing the players to not throw anywhere near that area in fear of missing the Mando and getting the penalty. So I give them a lot of credit for that. But yeah, a busy place is a busy place. The situation, real quick though, on hole 6 that you're referencing, from what Catchcam Geo tells us, he heard maybe some yelling and or some disagreements or some frustrations coming from a nearby apartment that's right there. And shortly thereafter, this woman had just kind of walked herself across the fairway, right across it, with no regards to anyone else in the world. I mean, I think there could have been a circus going on, and she would have still walked right through that area. I think she was under some of her own personal frustrations and or situation, and so she was kind of oblivious to the whole world. And unfortunately, she decided to do that and walk right across the fairway mid-play. So, I mean, she wasn't even near the sidewalk. She was literally making her way across the fairway. And she was not hit. I know some people had asked that. But no, she was not hit.
No, I heard it was just a close call.
But yeah, it's just it's yeah. I think about some of the people that jump to a few conclusions, but no. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited. I know we've said this. I think we've said this. I'm excited to see how being on the tour, opening in Vegas officially with the Pro Tour, and then going to Waco, Arizona's event and the Memorial, which obviously is one of the longest running, one of the biggest, most successful events that we've seen in the last 3 decades. I'm going to be interested to continue to watch the registration list of who's attending. Obviously, a huge event on Discraft's behalf in terms of their affiliation. So I don't know if there's any more or less obligation by any larger Discraft players. I don't know if people are just will be jonesing just to get events in. You know, that's what I'm kind of...
Yeah, I don't think... If I had to take a guess, I doubt there's much obligation on the players' parts because they have enough events throughout the year of Discraft events that they're going to hit. But what I wouldn't be surprised about is if the players internally the Discraft players felt a draw to that particular event because it's such a big Discraft. You know, Ezra, Paul, Adam, all the Discraft players that are going to be in the area probably will play it anyway just because, A, it looks good, support your sponsor, and it's always nice to get that win when your sponsor supports that event.
Yeah, well, looking at it right now, it shows 100 players in open. I think Yuli's on the board saying that it's actually filled very quickly. Top-rated players being Devin Owens, who is now living in Arizona. It was good catching up with him this weekend. Devin, and then Adam, who we just had. Kale Leviska, Drew Gibson, Andrew Presnell, Chris Clemens, Thomas Earhart.
Wait, I don't see Paul Macbeth's name on there, and I thought that was on his list.
Maybe his rating dipped way down. Let me.
No,
okay, nope.
I hope he can get in. I hope that guy. I hope he finds a way.
We'll see. But as I'm looking at the list on PDGA, that's what I'm seeing right now. I don't know if they have some sponsor exemptions and whatnot that could potentially get filled in there, but that's what we're seeing. I do see Ezra on the list. The fresh Discraft pickup. Paul Yulibarri is on the list as well. Right there, Kyle Klein, Anthony Barella, Austin Hoop, and so on. So very, very excited, though, to see how that's going to go down. I mean, I don't know how you can argue with a sizable payday. Sure, people say it's easy. Well, yeah, go out, shoot some 1,100 rated rounds and collect a big check. I mean, that sounds pretty easy. One interesting thing to note, Kevin Havinga's on the board. Kevin, I hope you're doing well. I did hear, I guess, an official confirmation as well this weekend saying that the Wintertime Open would not be taking place. And
really,
we all know that the Wintertime, one of the longest running events in disc golf
that's
history.
Always been well, not always, but it's kind of become the tour warm-up.
Yeah, kind of the unofficial official opener. It usually goes there and then Vegas and then Arizona. And I think with COVID and California and everything else, I had heard the same as well, that the Wintertime Open won't be happening this year. So
that is very unfortunate. I mean, 35, 40 years?
I think 40.
40 years for Wintertime?
We'll give them 40.
I mean, it's hard to count this as, not having, in a row because of COVID. I mean, but tradition, streaks, that's just the way it works. That is, so what is going to be the de facto warm-up event then? I mean, for this year, we'll say, because Vegas is the last week of February.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to, is there anything nearby before Vegas?
I mean, I'm looking at like Adam's schedule, for instance, and as we just said, he's got Maricopa and then the Memorial listed, even though those are a little bit separated.
He's missing Vegas on there. So.
He is. So let's take a look at someone else that I feel like. Let's take a look at Paul Yulibarri, who's on the board.
He just went to bed, actually, but
he's got Love at First Sting.
He signs up. We know he signs up for everything.
And Paul also, though, being on the East Coast. So I don't. Yeah, that's out in North Carolina, and that is in a couple weeks. That's still early February. So I don't think that is going to be considered an official warm-up. Who else might be out there quite a bit? I saw, did I see Ezra? And I'll see if he's doing anything prior to. Ezra is listed at his first event officially on here is listed as the Memorial. So, yeah, that's a good question. We'll have to see what people are trying to do before the Las Vegas Challenge.
That's funny. Are just these players not signing up for Vegas? I mean, I see. All the usual. Probably your top 10 guys are at this NT event. Just peeking around at what might be before Vegas. I don't see much in the area of Vegas. I mean, that's an AM event. I'm sorry. Not a lot in the area.
So there may be no official A tier leading into it, which is kind of understandable if everyone's used to the wintertime happening out there. I don't think any events are really taking place in California at large.
The Victoria Open is an A tier 2 weeks before that in Texas.
Okay.
But I don't know who's all going to be there. Big names. I mean, Bradley Williams, Miles Seaborn, Nate Perkins,
Mason Ford. Yeah.
So those are
clearly that's
names.
not drawing in touring players in that sense, which I could understand as well, being that it's down in Texas. So maybe there won't be, and everyone will just be relaxed. I know. Big shout out and a heartfelt big hug to everyone over in Thailand. This will be the first year in 3 years that I'm not finishing Maricopa on Sunday night, then getting on a plane to go to LA, and then getting on a 10:30 or 11:30 plane in LA on Sunday night to fly ultimately over to Bangkok and then onto the island of Koh Samui. And I know there's a few friends out here that we've made that are from Australia. Luke and King are probably out there on the message board, and we're all saddened by the fact that there will be no. It's still, the Samui Swine is still taking place. However, it's going to be a much more local Thailand representation. I will say, though, if there's ever a place where I think you need to quarantine still for 14 days. If there's ever been a place where you could go and quarantine for 14 days before visiting, Koh Samui is one of those places you should do that at. I'll tell you that much. AJ asked if I'm coming to Waco. Good question, and I guess that will, because I have had a couple questions about Waco, Jonesboro. One thing that we're working on here internally that we can share is that just trying to figure out our exact plans with our commentator crews and the personnel. And sometimes that may mean I will be at an event doing sideline reporting and some other things. And then sometimes this year I'll be hanging back a little bit more in the Milwaukee studio, the new Milwaukee studio, to do the commentating on the Disc Golf Pro Tour events. All of those individual events, though, have not been finalized. I've submitted a schedule. Jamie Thomas, Nate and Val, other commentators, we're all kind of still working on finalizing what that schedule will be. So when someone asks if I'm going to be at an event, there's very few where I can definitely say, yes, I will for sure be there, or no, I for sure won't be. That's all still in the works, I think is a good way to put that. I mean, Chip and Joanna are good friends of mine, so I'd like to get down to Waco. Maybe not.
No, I don't think so.
We'll see. I do love me some Waco, though. Great place.
Some real quick PDGA stuff, actual PDGA stuff. We talked about the UDisc app update. Well, not to be outdone, the PDGA updated their live scoring.
So yeah, they did.
They had added a feature that you can now share your card to social media. So I know little steps. You know, the PDGA is a not-for-profit, and they're kind of doing this. A lot of people, the big conversation that I saw was, why is the PDGA investing in a platform like this when we have UDisc? And on one hand, I think that's a very valid question, but on the other hand, there are thousands of PDGA events that can use this system for free.
Mm-hmm.
UDisc, not for free for events to use. They do have some charge. I don't know the exact number offhand, because they have all the added statistics. They've got the app. They've got, all this other stuff that they provide that the PDGA app, or I don't want to call it PDGA an app because it's not. It's a web app. We'll call it a web app. Does not provide. The UDisc has such a bigger feature set that they can do that, and it makes sense. The PDGA, obviously, they're more out for probably A tiers, B tiers, C tiers, things like that. So it does make sense for the PDGA to continue to improve their platform at every step they can in small increments. So if you ever come across that question from somebody, please let them know that this is where some of your membership dollars are going, which I'm fine with, because I think that, as we've seen with things like leagues, and I know UDisc is into leagues as well now, but it doesn't hurt to have a competing system in place, most certainly.
Yeah, I don't.
They're hardly competing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if competing's the exact adjective I would use. Adverb. Anyway, but yeah, for all the reasons you just mentioned, it makes perfect sense, and we'll see if it can roll out to other things too. Because I think about the leagues and some of those other areas that it might be able to dip into as it progresses and expands. So very, very cool to see. And we already know, we talked about this earlier, when Matt and Josh have us all pre-programmed due to the UDisc chipping they're doing.
It's really rude that I walk up to a hole and I pull up my UDisc thing and they've already put my score in there because they know what I'm going to shoot.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Get out of my head, Matt and Josh.
A couple other PDGA announcements, and it kind of just goes, it shows the growth of our sport. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different devices have been approved, with 7 discs and a new target in the last 5 hours. It appears that Tuesday seems to be their day. Thank you, PDGA, for updating that. We see a bunch of discs from Full Turn, the Skegox from Nordisk, the Orsis from LB Sport. I'm going to Losier. I'm murdering that, I'm sure. The Warhammer from Black Zombie Disc Golf, and the Birdie Light from which is a target from Rad. Just so many options these days. To be fair, it's amazing.
Can I throw? I can. This is. I'm part of this podcast. I'd like to throw it out there. I would love to brand my own disc or discs. And so, if there's somebody interested, if there's somebody interested in partnering up with me, I don't know about the terms and conditions. That's what we'd have to talk about. I am very interested in that idea. And by this, I mean, and this is happening, just so you guys know, this is happening all over the place. I think it's great. I think it provides a great outlet. Hopefully it's a win-win for everybody that is involved in their individual situations. But you look at an Infinite disc, for example. There you go. And they have discs that are Infinite discs, but are in fact molded and by a manufacturer, a disc golf manufacturer already. So
that's going to cost some cash. Terry
maybe.
Miller. I mean, I don't think.
What if it's an existing mold?
And you're just going to rebrand it?
Yeah.
So, we'll just say, I'm trying to think.
The Marauder.
Perfect example. The Marauder.
Just for those of you who don't know, the Marauder was a driver by Discraft in the mid to early 90s, or at least it was in the 90s at some point.
Why don't you bring it a little more speed and use the APX?
Yeah, there you go. So I know I've referenced the Marauder twice tonight. You're welcome, Discraft. But
look at those sales spike, Discraft. You can notice tomorrow on your website.
But and it's also funny to think how it had I feel like it had a horse with a cowboy on it, right?
Yeah, it was like a bucking bronco.
Correct.
Almost.
So clearly not in their lineup of at the time of cosmic and astronomical. Is that a word?
Go for it.
Sure.
It's not okay.
Theme, but so anyway, I wanted to put that out there in case everyone's like, what the hell is he talking about when he keeps saying Marauder twice tonight?
I don't. Wow. I don't see an advantage to a company taking. Well, I guess I'll say this: a company that has a mold already, we'll say, and just saying, "Oh, we're going to take this mold and put." And
no. In addition, so
let's say
I'm not saying give me your mold.
The Marauder and the Terry Miller Marauder.
Sure, the Terry Miller
put a
groove.
picture of you on the horse.
Yeah, exactly. the disc golf guy horsey sauce mold.
Well, didn't Dynamic Discs have something similar to this where you could order a certain amount and in a specific plastic?
It was that was a little different program that they had offered at one point, which said that you could essentially help create your own. You could help create and pre-order your own special limited edition disc. So they, like Adam was saying, for an example earlier, when he was talking about a jawbreaker, a CT jawbreaker, that wasn't something that was a regular on the shelf, day-to-day product. They worked with it, like you see for Ledgestone, for instance. They come out with all sorts of crazy combinations that are not production runs, that are not done on the regular. And so that's a little bit different. I feel like those are kind of a limited edition. This doesn't have to be limited edition. You could literally make a legacy gauge, and then it could also be the disc golf guy all around mid. Like literally a stamp on the top could be different. And that's happening already in our sport. So if you don't think it is, you're being duped, but that is very much happening. And it's fine. Obviously I think it's perfectly fine. It really just comes down to branding. I'm looking for someone to partner with in terms of some agreement we can come up with so that I could brand the discs myself.
Okay, good luck with that.
Okay.
I think.
I mean, I see all these new companies coming up, and that's what makes me think
there's a lot.
Oh, maybe somebody would like to collaborate.
If you reached out to
way.
Full Turn and said, "Hey, I'd like the Terry Miller Nomad." I'm just saying. I mean,
I would have
You're kind of a nomad.
I would have the entire branding would be done on my own. So to speak. So anyway, just throwing that out there.
Cody Garner says, "Is the Japan Open cancellation a sore subject?" No, not at all. It's unfortunate, but I wouldn't call it a sore subject. There's nothing we're just hoping it gets pushed back a year and we can see, we can kind of move on with that.
Yeah, I saw you make that question there a little bit earlier too, Cody, and I don't know how much the pros are disappointed or not. I mean, obviously, it's not to say that people weren't excited about it, but I think with the situation where everyone is, and to be fair, I think the Japan Open this year was going to carry a different flair and style, I'm guessing, than what it had in the last few years. Or maybe it wasn't, but with the location changing so drastically, it no longer being in the Nasu Shirabara Highlands or the Nasu Highlands, and then having a different kind of even approach to the event, because I feel like this year's event, what would have been this year's event, was very much having a disc golf tournament that kind of integrated with this 300-year-old festival. And it was going to be more along those lines. To me, I think of the Portland Open the last few years, which has the Rose Festival going on, and like that's something that's really big and exciting, of course, for the city, and it's this really big deal. And there's a disc golf tournament going on, and in some ways they hopefully can overlap and integrate. That's how I saw the Japan opening being kind of promoted this year, and the fact that it can't happen or it's not going to happen. I mean, dare I say it's that's COVID. So I don't think anyone is going to be too overly upset or worked up about it in that sense. Not to say you're not disappointed, but okay. I feel like there were other news. I'm sure I'll think about it as always as soon as we get done with the show. Our good friend Steve Held and I did have a quick conversation. I forgot to ask Adam and say, how in the world, tell me, Johnny, how in the world does Adam's medal hit on the downhill shot at Ledgestone, how is that beating out Eagle McMahon's eagle throw-in from hundreds of feet away?
Which hole did Adam hit medal?
Exactly. You don't even remember the shot. No, the downhill. Is it 14 at Ledgestone?
Ledgestone 14 at
the Northwood.
At Northwood. That's the problem. I don't know Northwood's course as well. I know 15 clearly is like the crazy hole that everybody.
You mean 12?
That's 12. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. So. Air shot of the year finals, and of course I'm kind of half joking about this, even though it's my channel that's in the running, thanks to the work of Matt Graham and Steve Held. You've got Eagle McMahon at Idlewild, hole 2, throwing it in.
Oh, they used my
yeah, so it shows how on top of it you are.
They used my footage. Which is funny.
Here's Adam.
Yeah, no, you're right. If I had to rank that, I have to put the Eagle McMahon shot way better than that one. That's
Adam, good shot. I mean, clearly. I mean, he hits the basket and then it hits the pole on the beautiful downhill, the tunnel shot on hole 14.
So we're looking.
Come on.
Yeah. All right, everybody, go out to Ulta World and vote for the Eagle McMahon shot, because it should be that or probably the Simon Lizotte.
I was gonna say I put Simon's shot. Personally, I put that one second. It's just a beautiful turnover at the preserve where he throws it in from a couple hundred feet out. I mean,
I don't. Eagles throwing, definitely go vote it up. We tend not to put our support behind a lot of candidates, especially in disc golf. This is it, guys. We're gonna finally throw our weight behind something. Go out and vote on that one, and vote on Eagle. Let him get the air shot, because that is probably the best shot of the year.
Can I vote again? I think I'm about to. I don't know when the voting ends, but yeah, 2020 air shot of the year. Let's vote for Adam is Adam's leading 34% to Reed's 24% to Eagles 23%. So the social media game is strong there. So. Anyway, I should have challenged Adam when we had him. How's that shot?
He doesn't probably even know. Honestly.
I mean, he may not know that shot's in there. But nonetheless, it was obviously they're all good shots. I don't know if we have anything else in the regular show here, Johnny, unless things come to your mind that you want to talk about before we jump into an after show. But I can't say that I have too much more right now.
No, it's been kind of a quiet week for disc golf. just again with the Ezra announcement
Mm-hmm.
really taking up most of the airwaves.
We do have more action, and I apologize that I couldn't be part of it. But it looks like we've got a couple of VPI champions that were crowned.
Oh, yes.
So that did happen. We get our days mixed up. And when you're involved and then you're not, and then you're traveling. VPI championships, which I would have loved to co-host, but I was already locked in for traveling to Arizona. And when it was all said and done, Own Scoggins.
No surprise.
Smashing. Yeah, Own. Getting it done.
I praised her last week when we were here about how great it is to watch her putt, and if she did a full tour, she would be the best putter on tour.
I don't think there's
a question.
doubt about that.
I think overall, and I love Missy Gannon, I love Paige Pierce.
Yep.
Own will beat them at statistic wise in the long run. Like she just is so deadly from any distance, but specifically from like 25 to 45. You just walk up and you think, yeah, Owen's probably putting this in.
Yeah, when it comes to her putting statistics, I completely agree with you. She, unfortunately for her, doesn't have the distance off the tee that we see from some of those other competitors. I don't see her going to her backhand as much as she's clearly not as comfortable with that. But yes, her putting is the business, so to speak. It is incredible. So she is crowned, and when it was all said and done, was able to get past and take the title away from Heather Young, who we know is an incredible putter as well.
Well, Kat Mertz took out Heather Young.
Yep.
And moved on.
Exactly. That's what I just say in general. Heather was in that. Heather was also there. Kat obviously is the one that took her out, but Heather was your defending champ and didn't have to even go against her or anything. So Own taking it down, and then on the men's side, DGA's own
Matt Bell.
Meh, not surprised. No, that's why that's the reason I say it that way. Because if someone's like, "Hey, Matt Bell won the putting title," you'd be like, "Yeah, okay."
He's a really good putter.
So that's not. So my lack of enthusiasm isn't. It only stems from the lack of surprise. Exactly.
And the only reason, vice versa, on the FPO side, the only reason why. I'd say we're not surprised about Owen. I mean, everyone knows. It's just that she wasn't really a competitor last year, and she plays so few events. She played so few events. I would love it if she would tour a full kick-ass tour.
Okay, well, so that happened and took place. I believe we saw Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It whittled down. I honestly did not get a chance to consume 1 minute of any of it. Wednesday night, we had a local putting league that had gotten kicked off. Big shout out to Midi Disc Golf. I know they're working on some stuff here locally. So I was committed to being there. And then Thursday night traveling, and then Friday night screaming at Adobe Premiere. So I was not able to participate in the co-hosting of that. But I heard Tyler Brickley sat in, so I can only imagine it was entertaining. Jamie Thomas, I believe, also
he did
doing some of that work. So pretty cool to see.
I saw a very entertaining interview with Kat Mertz.
With Kat, I did see that. I did get manage to see that on some of the socials. Kat and Jamie going back and forth. I was going to talk about the putting league quickly, which was a lot of fun here locally. And there was one other thing that I know came in the middle of last week that now is
the All-Star
escaping
weekend?
me. All-Star weekend.
Maybe we know. Maybe we had talked about that. I know.
Did we? Do we know more? Do you know more?
The only thing I know is it's maybe unofficially or officially been announced as the week before Vegas.
So there's your answer about a warm-up event.
That's true. But I mean, that's for like 8. I guess that's 8 of our top pros. It's going to be at Fountain Hills at some sort of we'll call it Fountain Hills XL. So to speak. It's going to be some sort of crazy course. I don't know anything more about the format other than they talked about match play. I don't know. I don't even know if it's going to be live yet. I would think that they're talking about it. There's so much still that hasn't been officially released out into the public that we can't really couldn't say if I did know, but
let's just postulate.
Does that get us in trouble?
It might.
Then let's do it.
Yeah, maybe not a good idea. I don't know. But as soon as we know more information, we will be sure to pass it on to you guys once all the details are officially lined up. We see some questions coming in on the board, and we love to answer them, and we'd love to answer them directly, which we'll probably do here in the after show instead of meandering right now during the regular show. Not that we don't do enough of that. But if you don't have anything else specific, then I think we can close things down.
Do it.
All right, let's do it. Guys, we have to thank all of you for joining us here tonight during our conversation with Adam Hammis, your champion here at the first PDGA A-Tier of the year. Big shout out to the crew and everyone that could make that event possible here in the season. That's unfortunately kind of is starting out like we ended last year with just a little bit of uncertainty. But if everyone continues to do their part, hopefully we can continue to see and play disc golf here in the 2021 season. So I want to thank Adam yet again, and for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, this has been podcast number 333. Stick around. The after show is going to be filled with questions coming in off of our YouTube chat board, and it may meander into any other random conversations. I know other stuff will come about, but thank you guys for joining us. We love you. Appreciate all our Patreon subscribers, and of course, in the after show is when we're going to have a giveaway for a lucky patron.
Oh, and we're giving away a disc member box tonight.
Disc member box.
Disc member box.
So that will be coming your way for free. I haven't even picked through it to grab out all the good stuff. I leave it sealed and then just turn around and send it to you, and it pains me to do every single time, but we do it for you guys. Again, for Johnny and Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, we'll see you in the after show when you step inside the SmashBoxx.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's 333's After Show.
Did you have some drinks between the regular show? I mean, it was pretty quick, but
I think I should. I think I have a couple of Backwoods Bastards, the barrel-aged Scotch ales, and I think I have them in the little mini fridge. And I got to have those early enough so that I'm all good to go hours later before I can take myself home. So unfortunately, tonight's going to be a little too late for that probably. But I'm definitely not a beer snob. Everybody should know that. And I don't drink that often. But since discovering Founders Backwoods Bastard Scotch Ales.
7 DUIs. It's really amazing. No.
No, just 2, jerk.
0. Let's be clear.
0.
No jokes. 0 DUIs.
I'm just saying, like, it's funny that I actually sometimes thirst and really look forward to one. Now, let's be very clear. Johnny and I are kind of in the same boat in that if neither of us had an alcoholic beverage of any kind for the rest of our lives, like, we'd be just fine. Both of us are very similar, although we drink different things. I very much could I could consume beverages for 6 straight nights and then not have any for 6 months, and I'd be okay with that. I could have one and then not have one for a year, or I could have drinks 10 out of 20 nights. We're both very passive about our consumptions.
Tuesday nights are like the one time I'll pour myself a drink. I don't. That's just what, It's just a nice thing to have here on Tuesday night, and
it gives you cred.
Yes, it did. That's what I'm shooting for.
Podcast cred.
Podcast cred for the whiskey, and I don't have any in the house right now. I haven't had any for like 2 or 3 weeks. I just haven't had a chance to stop at a grocery store or an alcohol store and buy another bottle of something.
So by saying what I am, that I could go for one. I don't have a problem. But it's funny that that is literally the one beverage that I really would be like, oh man, that sounds delicious. Otherwise, I don't think much about them. So glad you guys are here. We see the board.
This is the second podcast we're on today.
I know. I mean, disc golf podcast cred. Is that what we're building?
We are.
Yes. Earlier today, we were invited to a special occasion in that our friends over at Disc Golf Answer Man were having an all media encompassing kind of send off farewell to the beloved Robert McCall. And in doing so, Bobby Brown reached out to us about a week ago and said, "Hey, we're having this, this podcast with the entire crew here, all the media crew over at DD." And he said, "Would you guys like to join us? It'll be a surprise to Robert, and if you'd be interested, we'd love for you to join us and maybe share a story or say your goodbyes or farewells, kind of officially to Robert." And so around 3:30 today, we were invited into their call and sat and chit-chatted with all the boys.
It was a good catch up. It's no doubt I'll say this, it's a big loss for disc golf in general, for Robert to be kind of moving out of the disc golf. I don't say disc golf community, because he's still going to be part of the community, but not be part of the active media community. I think he's moving down to Texas, where he's going to be actually a Texas Ranger.
Of course. What else would he do?
That's the only thing you can do in Texas. No, I think he's got a job of some sort in sales, but they wanted to move closer to his family. So now with the young one that they have, and just kind of a whole family thing, and so now Robert won't be part of Disc Golf Answer Man. He relinquished his DD sponsorship, knowing that he's not going to be playing as much. It's a loss, because I think Robert is one of in general, I think he's one of the best guys you can ever meet in our sport. I mean, I like him way better than you. He's nicer than you. He's handsomer than you. He's taller than you, I think.
But he doesn't put up with your, like I do.
Oh, God, no.
So check mark for old Tear Bear here.
That is one in your column, Terry. And he's phenomenal in the booth, as we've all said. I mean, he just has that natural that thing. He's got the right amount of humor. He's got the right amount of knowledge. He's got the right amount of everything. So to lose him out of this, and we're hoping maybe to bring him in for something, work with him, whether it is part of Tuesday Night Podcast, maybe we'll bring him in on occasion, or commentary for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, whatever it takes, to get more Robert in my life. I want that.
Yeah. So
we said our goodbyes to him today.
Yeah,
and now we shall never speak to him again.
Big transition and move for him and his family, as we said, heading back to Texas to be closer to his parents and his in-laws, and of course with the newborn, understandable to be taking on all those measures, and quite the relationship and friendships and working environment he's forged over there at Dynamic Disc. So, like you said, Johnny, a big loss from the DD crew and from a media perspective, but like we said, hopefully there's some way to integrate him moving forward in some capacity. He claims he enjoys working with us. He could be just being nice, but I think he
really
genuinely
nice
does enjoy it.
He's a really nice guy, so even if he didn't, he would probably tell us he did.
And speaking of commentary, none other than two fresh commentators, actually, this weekend on the Disc Golf Guy channel. First,
the woman walking down the fairway.
No,
grabbed her and threw her in front
hey,
of the computer.
Devin Owens.
Wow. Okay.
Devin Owens, who I have not seen since his wedding, actually, back in August. But Devin Owens, who now resides, him and his wife, Ariel, reside in Arizona, Phoenix area. And they came over on Friday night, and he sat down and did his first ever commentary, which kind of surprised me that it was his first ever, but I guess I think about who's been where and when and opportunities and whatever, so maybe it's not that surprising, but he sat down and joined me, and what's great is Devin knows Vista better than most. He has lived right off of the fairway of 5 or 6. He's lived there. He's resided there for numerous years. And so,
didn't he live there with like Ricky and Feldberg?
Yep.
What a crew! Jeez.
Yes. And both and here's a testament: both Ricky and Feldberg stood up in his wedding. So that's a testament to how everything went.
To Devin, because I know Feldberg.
So it was a lot of fun. He came over. The only I guess the only challenge that some people might have recognized is during, and you guys feel free to chime in as well, of course, on the board, but it seemed as if Devin may have visited the refrigerator one too many times prior to jumping on the mic.
Oh, those are the best mics. I mean, you get someone that really wants to talk and has a little bit of liquid courage in them.
It was low key, and it was chill, as Porch Mike says. He was chilling on commentary. He wasn't rowdy or out of hand or anything like that. But yeah, so it was fun to have him, and then due to timing and the fact that we were doing commentary starting at 12:30 or 1 in the morning, my roommate / cameraman / additional editor / all-around superstar Gary to the O jumped on his first ever set of commentary.
I have to listen to that.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. He ended up commentating on the round that he filmed and edited on Friday, the one with the three players, and then Saturday night we commentated, and then Sunday night he did the same, and he got progressively better as I feel like as the weekend went on and got a little bit more comfortable. Gary's not exactly a man of a lot of words always, so having him join and get and be comfortable with everything that was going on, I think he really eased into it.
Well, that's good,
and I think he had fun with it. Which is also good. So, I gotta say, somebody's like, I did reach out to Ricky, knowing he was in the area, and just with the timing of it, of saying, hey, I really want to get this out either tonight or first thing by, the time people have coffee at 6 a.m. That means you're doing commentary at 1 or 2 a.m. That's just a byproduct of that. And so, having the other guy that was filming and editing do it along with you to be able to get it knocked out makes actually perfect sense. So it was a lot of fun. So thank you very much, Gary to the O, and thanks for all the hard work and not letting me jump out a window or anything on throughout the weekend, but it was a lot of fun. So
tonight's show is brought to you by Disc Member. Just so everyone knows, they are every month they send us one of those supporter boxes. If you want to be a disc member supporter, you can reach out to them, and you get you can be part of this cool club that gets sent these boxes. Sometimes last week's box was much bigger. I think they had like a hat or something, so they didn't want to crush
clothing,
it.
Yep.
Or some sort of clothing. But I believe it is 25. I haven't looked recently, so if it's not 25, don't come back at me. $25 a month, and you get they send you something every month, and you can make it. I think they might even have other options too.
What? I'm looking right now. Disc store, $24.99. Johnny, go on.
So it's not 25; it's $24.99. Sorry.
Yes.
And every month it's something different, which is pretty awesome. And they support us. So if you do happen to become a disc member supporter, just mention that you heard about them from Smashbox and thank them for being a supporter, because we take this again and just turn it right around. Terry, does it say what this month's?
It is what goes on to say
bottom.
the essential subscription package for every disc golfer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this was the very last one. It says February 2021.
Okay.
Subscribe by February 1st to get this package. And it looks like a dynamic disc Biofusion Sargent.
My guess is that's next month's then, because I'm guessing that this would be December's, or I'm sorry, January's.
All right. I see. Oh, let me scroll like you said. Let me take a quick. January, it had said. What's the date on there? Well, one of these, you're going to get some stuff, but this one said in January, Innova Disc Shimmer Star XXL stamped mystery disc, a matching cotton tee, a mini can topper, a UDisc Pro subscription. Wow, all came in one of these most recently as well. So you're getting something
That's
along
awesome.
those lines, probably.
And again, we give this away to all of our, not to all, we give this away to one of our Patreon supporters. You can sign up at patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, or if you would like, you can go to, I think it's smashbox.tv/weekly winners, something like that. One of those addresses. I like to not know, so I can't mess
Can't
it
be
up.
held accountable.
I can't be held accountable for it.
Good
You
call.
can sign up.
You play dumb very well.
So good. I am so
You're
good at
so
it.
ignorant. Like I have never dealt with someone so ignorant before.
That's-
And
I highly
you
doubt
were the
that.
master of it.
I mean, maybe today, but and then we did this week. We only had 2 people sign up on that method, so there it's pretty well hidden. But yeah, I think Gordon something or other, you were added in here, and somebody else.
Okay, so thank you again to Disc Member. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all of our gracious Patreon subscribers. And an additional shout out, I picked up a couple myself this weekend on the Disc Golf Guys channel, and I say it all the time, like the coverage from Shelly, Sharpe, for instance, would not be possible if it weren't for the additional support that comes from, outlets like patreon.com or buying a Disc Golf Guy t-shirt or whatever. But it just literally wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't have been able to go out there. I wouldn't have been able to bring Gary and get all those great rounds covered. So thank you as well to Patreon is the way that you guys can keep disc golf content and coverage coming and supported at really any level that you're most comfortable with. And if everybody gives just a tiny little bit, it seems like it goes a long way. So we all appreciate it.
The $10 clothing level that has been sent out to Miles. So he's doing a mock-up for me right now for the, I think it's going to be a winter cap is what we had said, the Smashbox winter cap. That will be as soon as he gets me that mock-up, probably in the next day or so. I will approve it and send it out. And then I saw we have 1 or 2 new members that I need to get their pictures for our studio here, our in-house studio audience.
I need more of you staring at me. That's all I want.
It's not creepy at all.
No. Our studio audience here, we appreciate you guys looking at us.
Sam Martin
Week in
from the
and week
board
out.
asks, will the Memorial have any live coverage? I know it's been talked about when it was not put on the national tours. There has been a little bit of talk back and forth, just some ideas thrown around. I don't know if we're going to see Memorial live coverage this year or not. I think that's still a little bit soft as far as what we're capable of doing and what we can do. If I had to lean one way or the other, I'd probably lean towards no at this point. But things can change. We have a month yet, and maybe something happens. But my guess is not. Live coverage is as we know, relatively expensive, and there's been a high bar set. So it's really a funny position to be in, as you and I have talked about in other podcasts, saying that, we came from an area when we were the Planet that they had a very big budget when they would do an event, and they only did like 4 events a year, 4 or 5 a year. And our whole deal was, hey, we can do this at a nice, cheaper level. We can come in and be the budget version of this and hit a lot of these events. And now we've really set the standard of high quality live streaming. To go back and do a budget event is very difficult. A small scale event, because there's a bar set, and you, on one hand, you think, yeah, you kind of want to have a budget option. You want to kind of have where maybe you don't have a replay, you don't have a graphics guy. It's just me behind the computer and Terry carrying a camera or something. But on the other hand, you don't want to water down your product and say, hey, this is, when people tune in to watch and they're like, well, this stinks, this is nothing like what the Pro Tour does. And you're like, well, yeah, it's like 1/10 of the cost and whatnot. So it's kind of a funny position to be put in. I think it would be kind of funny to see somebody come in and do a low cost live option that's not us. I think it would be kind of fun. Basically do what we did 5 or 6 years ago, and have someone cover some of these A tiers and maybe B tiers like we did.
Yeah, I mean, I could grab a cell phone.
Sure.
I could get at it.
A gimbal? Cell phone and a gimbal, baby.
That's all we need. That's all we need. Yeah, I think there are still opportunities both in the live and in the post-production world that are all continuing to get ironed out right now. And I know also one of the other exciting developments that's kind of been touched on here is with creating a studio space that is not Johnny V's basement, that has more room, has a few more capabilities, more equipment in it, is going to be increased manpower and woman power, because we're talking about commentary groups, teams, collaborations, whatever you want to say, or teams is the best word. And I think there's a void right now, because two of our main go-to female commentators in disc golf right now include Valerie Jenkins, of course, who's been doing it from the Ben studio and is not playing and is not touring because they're working on Bevel Brewing, but then also able to participate in the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And then there's Hannah Macbeth, but Hannah Macbeth isn't necessarily coming here to the Milwaukee studios week in and week out, because she's got her other obligations and things that she's doing and wants to do. So there, for lack of a better phrase, there's a void and a need for FPO commentary specifically. And so that's something that we're trying to work through right now. And proximity to Milwaukee is kind of paramount for some of the commentary needs that are done.
Let's get Madison Walker in.
Madison Walker.
And I'm not even, I know that a lot of times I'll throw something dumb like that out there as a joke, but this is not. Like this, honestly, she's shown a reluctance to travel during COVID. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what her...
Let's not get it so she doesn't want to be near you.
Oh, dude, I already had it. I'm having it done, baby. And I was telling Terry, my wife has it, or had it, not has, but she just got her shot today, because she works as an essential worker with kids with special needs. So even though I don't think she necessarily needed it, the optics and stuff of getting it, and her work kind of, I won't say insisted, but said it would be a good idea. So...
Matt and Josh, yes, we're behind that. You just Matt and Josh.
Yes, Matt. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Josh. Much appreciated. But in all honesty, I think Madison Walker could be cool if she maybe wanted to kind of reside around the Midwest a little bit and do some commentary with us and stay in the disc golf spotlight, because last year she really fell off due to injury and just safety on her side. And I think I think listening to her do post-production has always been pretty good. Mm-hmm. She really found a groove, especially with Erica. Mm-hmm. And I think she could fill one of those roles.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see what is going to unfold with Madison's schedule and plans for herself as to what she's comfortable with, where she wants to go, what kind of roles she wants to take on, where her health and well-being is at, more so her physical health in terms of her finger, arm, those types of things, and if that's going to kind of dictate what her year and season may look like. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see, and I'm sure if anything develops, we'll keep you guys up to speed. I think a little earlier, by the way, I saw our good friend Disc Golf Strong, Mr. Seth Muncie, out there. I know he's been out there killing it, putting out some additional videos and reps and things for people to be looking for and to try and to go out and do. I think I just saw a post today about that. So, Seth, if you're out there, hope you're doing well, and good to see you. And then, as I'll wrap this all up with the female commentator conversation I started, which is one of the newer ones that we did see this year and who knocked it out of the park. We've talked about it. Juliana Korver was doing the FPO side, obviously, over at the Women's National Championships this year. Happy birthday. It was a long-winded way to say that. Happy birthday, Juliana, today.
She's able to play in a new division now.
So
Masters. New division in Masters.
Yes. So, heck, maybe if she wasn't out in, San Diego all the time, maybe she'd come back to some of her roots in the Midwest and come to Wisconsin. I don't know if maybe she'd be up for it. Maybe we should be reaching out.
It's funny, someone says, I could see Zoe on SmashBoxxTV. Yeah, remember Zoe used to be a regular contributor at Smashbox. And
then she started a nonprofit and got busy.
Gosh.
I mean, where are her priorities? She could be gabbing with us instead of teaching kids disc golf. Give me a break.
Some people don't have their priorities straight, clearly.
You could be wasting your time on us two schmucks, or you could be starting nonprofits and getting disc golf in schools. I don't know. Yeah. All right, so off the board, I see Cody out there, Galactic Conqueror, so many of our regulars, Ray, Tim, so many of you guys. We really do appreciate you. Someone at Daddy Disc Golf had said, do we know Terry Roddy? And
well,
he's a local here and always talks about you. I hope that's good. Huge shout out. Seriously, Terry Roddy, from a technical and a softer skill side of things in disc golf media, taught Johnny and I so much. Terry Roddy was partnered with John Duzler in creating Disc Golf Planet TV, which was really the first live outfit of disc golf that existed. Terry Roddy films and has been on the PGA Tour for, I don't know if it's 20 or 30 years now. He's got a role there so when he came into disc golf, well, he's been in disc golf since probably, I think, the 80s. So he's always been in disc golf. But when disc golf media started becoming more and more of a thing, Terry Roddy was like the gold standard resource, and of course knows so much because of his expertise in the field that he's in and day out with. I believe he mostly works with CBS Sports in terms of the golf, or CBS Golf. But yeah, Terry Roddy is just a wealth of fountain of information, and even though it wasn't his expertise necessarily, he taught me things about, how to address a camera, how to address a mic, just some of those basic things that I was never taught because I didn't take any journalism or film school or anything of that nature. So it was all on the job learning. And Terry Roddy was one of those guys that taught me anything I do correctly probably came from him. If it's incorrect, he probably just didn't teach it to me. Yeah, that's all me, bro. So big shout out, of course, to Terry Roddy. So yes, we do know him for sure. A legend of the game. I was reading a few more of the details. Some people were talking about Maricopa in a couple weeks. I know it's funny to be thinking ahead 2 weeks but it's really one of the few events, so to speak, on schedules right now, and it's in Arizona. It's, as we said, it has 65 people in the open division, and I'm excited to be there covering it. So AB last year, wasn't able to finish things out, and Adam, of course, took things down. Kind of a interesting, I don't know, maybe just a side note. We were standing on the final hole of the tournament as I was flipping through my phone, and that's when the news of Kobe Bryant's passing
Oh,
had come about. While we were literally standing on the last hole, and for whatever reason, that will probably stand out unfortunately, as a memory of a partial memory of that event. Do you guys know that the Treasury is still making state quarters? I saw a 2020 Kansas quarter yesterday. Johnny, did you know that?
I did know that.
That's what Ray tells us.
I did. There was something about the state quarters, how they're almost done with them. Like they've released all 50 states clearly, but I read something about whether or not they're going to be collectible. And right now, there's no market for them. they're just
not a collectible market.
not a collectible.
I hope
market.
they're still worth 25 cents.
Yeah, they are, of course. But that they haven't. Nobody knows for sure if they're going to be collectible. They're still relatively new, and I just kind of skimmed some article because I was never a coin collector. I didn't make an attempt to collect any of the 50 states. I have some friends who did, and because there's the states, and then there's also the different mints of the states, I believe. So, like, I don't know, I'm probably getting this wrong, but Kansas might have 2 separate state quarters that look the same, but they're from different mints.
Okay,
so
sure, like a Topeka and an Emporia.
Exactly.
Those being the
no.
no.
Where the mint is, Terry.
Oh, okay.
It'd be like a San Marino rock versus an Ontario rock.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Well, I feel like they should be minted, though, in Topeka and in Emporia. I mean, who cares about Kansas City?
Kansas City, Kansas City cheats with another state.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so what's Bitcoin up to today?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
It was I'm a proud owner of 0.00001 maybe of
Really?
some Bitcoin myself. It was after the after show last week.
35,000.
Yes, I'm up $200 after last week.
It's up $200. You're up probably like
Johnny V and I had
37 cents.
Johnny V and I had a conversation about getting on board. I was waiting for a transfer to take place, and then actually I went home, and that's when it officially notified me that there was money in my eToro account. And with that, I went all in. The little bit I put in there, I went all in on Bitcoin specifically. And all I know is I bought it for less than that. 35,356 is what it's at currently.
Yep. So divide that by 4, and that's how much money I have in Bitcoin.
Dang, Johnny V's on it.
Not bad for $200.
No, you're up like 67 million %.
Something
so
like
far.
that. Don't people please don't try to rob me for my Bitcoin. My quarter of a Bitcoin. I know there's some people that are like, never tell people you have Bitcoin and things like that because. Especially if you have a lot of it, I suppose. But I mean, I guess.
But how do they get it from you?
It depends on where you keep it. If you keep it in a wallet, or
like
external,
a cold,
I have it in some service that whatever. And then there are people who yell at you for that because, like, if you don't have the thing, you don't own it yourself. And I don't really care. Like I said, I bought it for $200, and I don't know when I'll turn it in at some point. So.
All right.
Yeah, exactly, Patrick. Don't lose your password. I read an article. I think I told Terry about this about. A guy who has like 1,000 or 2,000 Bitcoins on a hard drive that's encrypted, and it gives you 10 guesses before it locks the hard drive, and just you can't get it back. And he's down to like 8. He's gone through 8 password guesses. It's none of his normal ones. He lost the piece of paper, and I don't know what he's gonna do. So,
yeah, I think that also even. There was one of the late night talk show hosts even referenced exactly that story after you did. I saw that there as well. So
yeah, there's a lot of people that have thrown away hard drives with like Bitcoin on them back in the day.
That's why you just keep your password as password 123. Duh.
Wow. Now, like, you had password in there. Mine's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, that's another good way to do it. All right, Disc Blaster. Hey, first of all, I'm going to address you directly, Disc Blaster. Are you? What side are you on? Are you full blown troll, or are you are you on the good side of things here? Because you really confuse me sometimes. He was trolling some of my lightly trolling some of my post production this weekend, and it's a easy name to recognize here. But he is asking, so I'll address you here. Please talk about those plastic disc bins you got. Are they awesome? They're beyond awesome. I'm just talking about regular. We're talking about buckhorn bins, which technically are no longer produced, although there are some alternatives. And yes, I had myself now own a few hundred of them. I've built them up throughout the years, and they're kind of I feel like they're the gold standard in storing disc golf discs if you're going to store them in, just period. There's no better way to store your discs. I mean, unless you own like 6, well, then you don't need a buckhorn bin. But if you own more than 33, the buckhorn bins, again, I use buckhorn, even though they don't produce them anymore, but that's what they're known for. They are awesome. They're very expensive relative to a cardboard box or a Jimmy John's sandwich box, which also do fit discs. They're expensive, but they're an investment. You spend $35 on one, and if it keeps one $30 disc, so to speak, from getting destroyed, I think it's paid for itself. And again, when you go to large tournaments, and this could be said for a lot of you, when you go to a large-scale tournament, or there's a big-time serious vendor at a lot of tournaments, and they're pulling out usually gray plastic bins that are about 24 inches long and are kind of heavy-duty, those are what we're referring to as buckhorn bins, because Buckhorn made them. That's what got introduced to the sport. And again, they're no longer producing them, but there's some similar ones. And what sucks about them is if you wanted to order one from somewhere, they already are considered oversized. So you may order a $35 bin, and the shipping of one empty $35 bin might be $25. So getting them in person is really always going to be your best solution. Or you just do what I do and you order a pallet of them and you have 108 show up, because that makes the most sense to put your discs in. So I hope I've answered that. I know you've asked me a couple times, but they're not a new product. They're just kind of an industry standard that are tougher and tougher to come by, unless you run into someone like me who's willing to sell you a few or let them go. But you really need to get them in person. I mean, I think I'll say this. I think Dynamic Disc sells them, assuming they're in stock. And I'd be willing to bet they're $30 or $35 and $25 to $35 to get one shipped to you. So
what if you got 4 shipped to you?
Then it would probably still be a lot.
A lot of money. I didn't know if there's a discount. Like if you
I mean, the problem is once something's oversized, it's always going to be expensive. And
I don't do
the thing is, they don't in any way, compact at all. Like it's a solid thing, and they stack on top of each other really well, but they don't fit inside one of another, so to speak. So there's just really no good way.
Engineer a smaller way to compact them.
I don't know. I think they're awesome. So, and they hold usually about 33, we'll say putters or mids, and then upwards of 37 to 40 drivers is what they have, and that's why I have a lot of them. Good way to go.
You going to hang around tomorrow and just watch the inauguration?
I mean, it's like anything else, and it will be kind of great in that my kids have virtual schooling tomorrow, and so they'll be home. I feel like it's important for obviously anyone that can consume that as a historic event, no matter whether you love or hated the candidate or the choice or the elect, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think just the act of it. And it's so funny because as a kid, you're probably not thinking, oh, this is great.
No.
Oh, I have to watch this, whether you were in school or wherever, or in this case at home. But I think as an adult,
I'll probably make my kids watch it. I'm home tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's my home day. So we went through this is our first, full presidential cycle. We came in the middle of the Obama administration. 2 years into that, or 2 years with 2 years left.
And I blame Bush for that. So now I can blame Obama for something. And
I can blame Trump
for.
Just
always
blame the last guy. That's
okay.
kind of that's what I do with with your last host. I blame the last host.
Yeah, good idea.
So yeah,
that is
an entire administration we made it through.
SmashBoxxTV has prevailed and made it through that
That's right.
through an entire administration of of a president. Do you think we? Never mind. Okay. Galactic Conqueror had asked if there is a Masters Cup this year. I will be spotter on hole 18. Well, that's pretty presumptuous of you, but good.
Maybe he knows. I mean, clearly.
No, that sounds good. Did you guys already talk about the hydrogen putter from Loft getting funded on Kickstarter in 8 minutes and is now super funded? I saw someone make a comment about the Loft is all I saw, and actually I'll be the first to admit I didn't research it. I had no idea what it was in reference to, and it is insane that I'm looking over Johnny, and Johnny's pulled it up here.
Its goal was...
Hey, we are not supported or sponsored by
Loft
yet.
But if they want to send us some discs,
yes,
I'm very happy to have it.
Put them in my buckhorn bin.
Yes. They had a goal of $6,000, and they have got 108,000.
Okay.
They have 18 days to go. Basically, it's a hydrogen putter is what it's called. It's supposed to, like, I think I read that it was a true zero, that it's supposed to go just perfectly straight.
Of course.
And that's,
I bet you it feels good in the hand.
Just the right amount of dome.
It stays on any line that you put it on. Feels really good in the hand, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And no, we're not just...
The hydrogen is a putter for both putting and short-range driving.
It also could be great for driving, short or long range.
Yep. You can be used as a dog dish.
And as a coaster.
Yeah, as a plate.
It's really the one disc you'll ever need.
Hydrogen. Now, SmashBoxx approved. No, I mean, it's cool. It's a cool Kickstarter.
Of course.
It's already PDGA approved. We, it's awesome to see this type of stuff get funded. I think that is just one more, notch in the belt of disc golf, kind of
arriving.
Yeah.
Establishing.
Mm-hmm.
Mainstreaming.
I mean, there is obviously a good and a bad to when your Kickstarter takes off like this. If you weren't prepared, it can be a nightmare for your Kickstarter. Now, hopefully they have everything in place for this type of response. 1,200 backers are probably getting, a disc that they're going to have to ship out to. And yeah, who knows?
Yeah, so if it isn't evident, Johnny
it's
and I have done
Danish
zero research here.
Yeah, they're out of Danish land.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite
I usually visit Danish land for breakfast.
So
that's where Dana and his wife hang out.
Danish land is where Dana is tonight.
He's slumbering in Danish land.
Stand Tall Studio says it's going to be produced by Lat64. No surprise there, I'm sure.
Sure.
I mean, at 108,000, you've paid for your mold.
We would hope so. They're doing it wrong.
Well.
Yeah, very cool. During the after show, which you guys aren't usually invited to, Johnny and I will do some more research and take a look at that. But it is cool, and it maybe more importantly, as you kind of alluded to, it opens up the door or the idea for so many others, to maybe follow through with a plan or a thought or a process, and to know that there's ways to go about it out there, which is really cool for us all to see.
Chris says, seriously, JVD, watch their video for their software. I will. I'm going to, after this, for the after show, you guys won't be invited to. I will take a look at it. Because I did see this. I linked to it a week or two ago, and I saw, oh, cool, someone kickstarted a putter. It did its thing. Awesome. And that was about it. Because we saw, and I still have them somewhere, the discs that had the inserts. You remember those? The weighted insert that would change if it was a overstable versus understable. It was like a rubber, but it was basically the exact. It was one mold, and inside, I should pull them out there somewhere.
Yeah, but why am I not recalling what you're speaking of?
Yeah, it was the exact same mold, but depending on the rubber insert that they put inside of it, it would change the stability of it. So you could have the exact same mold, but it would be overstable versus understable, I have them somewhere around here. I forget exactly what they're.
You're not confusing yourself with the Epic, right?
Nope. They're two purple discs somewhere around here.
Yeah, it vaguely rings a bell, but
Yeah, the dude says he
certainly-
remembers that, and because they were sitting around forever, and I think I just recently put them away somewhere.
in your buckhorn bin.
No, I don't. I didn't have any buckhorn bins.
Then you really aren't storing them.
No, I've got like Home Depot bins.
I had that mistake in like '98.
Yeah, but
Don't
those
do
are the Home Depot bins are really just for like all my old plastic, the old used stuff that's not worth anything. Anything that's worth anything is stored in there on thing. So.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and catch back up with some
You
more.
catch up. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine. Stan Tall Studio says, "What's Jimmy John's?" Jimmy John's is a sandwich, now a nationwide sandwich chain that started in Illinois. Gosh, I don't believe not Palatine. No, it's not Palatine. It's just south, not Springfield, somewhere in Illinois. Started a while ago. I think they go as far as maybe sponsoring a NASCAR car. Subs freaky fast, sub so fast you'll freak. Okay, anyway, that's Jimmy John's. But they're in all seriousness, those end diaper boxes, a lot of diaper boxes do actually store. They're just a great width. So if you are absolutely on a budget, a lot of diaper boxes and Jimmy John's boxes both store discs very well. People ask that question a lot, actually. And if you're not at a stage of going out and investing in great bins, those would be the best budget suggestions I can give you. Stackability. Thank you. Stackability won't be lost through warping. I got a few from Terry. Patrick says, doesn't DD sell the plastic storage bins? Yes, the ones I talked about. There hasn't been a quality bin company you say no one would want them. I don't think it's a matter of people wanting them, by the way. I just think it's a matter of injection molding can be really expensive. And then having this molded up to make what you need, and I don't know enough about that industry, but I think it would be very expensive, and I think there's just not enough people that would support you going in on that kind of quantity and that kind of cost. That's just my unofficial market research talking. A little bit more about sorry you guys, I'm just catching up with all of this. Uline also offers bulk pricing.
Ozone discs.
Ozone.
The multi-density inserts that they had. Ozone discs was the name of it. I just looked through my email.
When was that from?
This was back in 2015. This was like...
Yeah. I must have those somewhere
you
too,
do,
though.
I'm sure, because I think we each got one. We each supported the Kickstarter. So Ozone...
They don't sponsor us, do they?
They don't, no.
Huh.
I don't know if Ozone Discs still exists.
It
doesn't appear so. Looks like it's...
looks like they'll take your Bitcoin.
I'm sure if I just scan this QR code, nothing weird is going to happen.
Okay. So if anyone has an update that we should know about on Ozone Discs, we could report back to everybody. Not to get into politics, but tomorrow is a big day. Again, yes, it is definitely a big day, as we discussed. And Cody, I don't know if where you're going with trying to cut things here, but Uline offers bulk pricing. They do on a lot of items. I'll also be very clear. If you're shipping 3 or 4 or more discs frequently, you should get your boxes from Uline. They offer great boxes, 9x9x3s, 9x9x4, so on and so forth. They offer a lot of great pricing. The boxes that I'm always hustling and working on my coverage and selling you guys are ones that I helped actually design and produce, and they are great for 1 and 2 and 3 disc shipping. But if you're always shipping 3 or more, then go to Uline. You'll get your boxes a little bit cheaper, and it'll be a better deal for you. But that's not what I was there to specialize in. Whatever, cool. Biden, okay, we're skipping. Dust, good to see you. Says howdy to Terry and Johnny. We're doing good. Then you guys go on to some presidential conversations. So I'm gonna scroll past.
Yeah, Terry is officially a pro boxer. He boxes a lot of discs constantly.
Yes.
With the boxes.
Disc Blaster says, I wasn't trolling, Terry. I was half joking about your diet. You gotta get you vegan by 2023. That won't happen. I'll just politely say I will not would I entertain vegetarian? Sure. Would I entertain vegan? I just do not see that in my.
No, I mean you're a big fan of chicken.
Way too big of a fan.
I wasn't. For once, I wasn't going there. No, but you're not a big red meat eater. You don't eat a lot of steak. I mean,
No,
an occasional
it's
burger,
chicken.
but
It's chicken, bro.
chicken for you. Yeah.
Yeah, when I made a post about going to Cane's this weekend, which we don't have in Wisconsin, it's a chicken fingers place that you usually find down in the South more often. I had put it on Instagram, and I think Brittany Dickerson said, "Don't do this." Chris loves that place. It's one of his, as he should. It is as good as it gets. That could be my new startup company. That's the last thing I need. Probably is another one, but I would entertain it.
I do want to bring up something funny that I've seen on social media today on Reddit. So
okay.
I think it was yesterday. There was a message. Somebody posted a thread on Reddit, and this, who basically said, "Hey, don't be this guy." And he got a message from someone saying, "Hey, I found your disc. It'll be $10 to get back."
Yeah.
And he, the thrower had abandoned the disc in some water. And so this guy whose name was Doug apparently went in, found the disc, called the guy and said, "Hey, I'll give it back to you for $10." The guy's like, "No, thanks, dude. You're fine." And then he went off on something about, he got all upset and said some sort of like maritime law that, an abandoned disc, and seemingly serious about it.
Okay.
So right now, if you go to reddit.com/r/discgolf, there is probably 40 different memes trending about don't be a Doug and pirates and just anything you can imagine, everything from Pirates of the Caribbean to the Tom Hanks movie where it says, "I am the captain now." Like, it's probably the best thing that's been on Reddit in years for me. So it's pretty funny. I've for the most part stepped away from Reddit. I just do go there on occasion to post things and just barely troll it. But I've unsubscribed from almost everything. But this was pretty funny. So if you go out to Reddit, you can kind of see that. And there's some very clever ones out there. A lot of SpongeBob under the water, things like that. So.
And that is a debate that may rage on forever as to if a disc is lost or left behind or thrown in a pond or in a lake, and then who retrieves it, and are there obligations, are there not? Is it like finding a wallet? Is it like finding a set of keys? There's all these analogies that always get thrown around. And then I feel like all the time it ultimately comes down to your local laws as to who technically owns it, who doesn't, and if there are any obligations that are tied to it. It sounds like it comes down to local laws more often than not about whose it is.
We're just going to assume it's a standard disc. That the price is so low, I don't think local laws should really even matter. It's just the good theory that we've always had. Don't be a dick. Like, if you find a disc, maybe it's someone's favorite disc, maybe it's a disc they don't care about. I think you should reach out to pretty much anybody if you find their disc and just see if you can get it back to them. "Oh, hey, I'm at the course. You going to be here? I'll stick it behind the mailbox or up in the third tree, hide it. And if you can get it, cool. If not, then I'm up." But if you find it and don't ask money for it, then just don't call. If I find your disc and I say, "Oh, you can have it back for $10," don't bother calling me. Like, it's not. I don't. Unless you flat out look at this disc and you go, "Oh, wow, I know this is a $50 disc. This is a $70 disc." If you're that much into the collecting, a highly valuable disc, I still wouldn't ask for money for it personally. But I think that's just a dick thing to do. Don't bother. Don't bother calling if you're asking for money for a disc. Just be a jerk and keep it.
And what we see often is people who, like Doug, make some kind of reference to it, and then usually that backfires because it wasn't that long ago. Was it here in Milwaukee? Or it wasn't that long ago, we talked about here on the show, someone called up or texted and said, "Hey, I have your disc. Thanks, I'm keeping it." Well, that turned into a bombardment of people then going after the phone number that originally sent the text, and that didn't probably work out well for them either. So as you said, if you're going to be a jerk about it, just be a jerk quietly and slither away with your newfound possession, and you're best off if you just keep quiet about it. Because if you go out of your way to be a jerk about it, it might come back to bite you more than it was worth.
Mm-hmm.
Because that did happen. Yeah, I do recall that did happen. And next thing you know, that text or that phone number is out there, and some people can be civil and handle it, and then some people will be have to prove that they can be a bigger dick or jerk about it. And again, that might backfire. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't
at
go
some
that
point,
way.
someone, you're going to find someone's disc and they're going to have a podcast and they're going to call you out on it. And they've got a bigger audience than you do probably. So it's, I don't know. Just, again, someone said that asking for 10 and demanding 10 are two different things. Yeah, but in general, like I just feel if they're going to give, when I lost my, one of my favorite buzzes 2 years ago, I think it was, and I posted something on social media at the course, say, hey, if anyone finds this, it turns out that I had thrown it shorter than I was looking, and it wasn't hardly even in the swag that I was looking for.
I would have guessed that.
Me too. Someone found it. That's cool. I grabbed a disc I'm not going to use. I think it was a Thunderbird or something. Gave it to the guy. I said, cool. I really love that buzz. Cool. Thank you for getting back to me. Here's a disc. That's kind of a nice thing to do, I think. Or even $10 seems like a lot to ask for a disc that's probably a $14 or a $17 disc. Like, you're asking 50% of the price for it. I don't know.
It always comes down to how special it is to you, though.
Yeah, and that buzz was relative. I mean, I went out of my way. I drove a couple miles out of my way to meet the guy. Gave him the best part is, and I told the story. He called me back like an hour later and said, "Hey, that Thunderbird, I threw it on hole 1 and I aced with the very first throw." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Good for you.
You owe me now half your ace pool."
Yeah. It was a casual round, but he actually asked me for $5. He's like,
yeah, exactly.
You were basically there.
Yeah.
We play 51 here. So and I don't think we really probably need to say this too much on our podcast, because most of the people that listen to this are probably good people. Because
except for a few of you,
because they listen to us. They're not dicks, and they know. But
no,
don't be that guy.
Yeah, of course it will always. I have a few $8, we'll say DX rocks that I would pay $25 to get back, because they're that special to me, or for whatever reasons, whether they're broken in just right or whatever the case might be. But like you said, you pull out a brand new Biofusion such and such, you throw it, and then you end up losing it. You might be inclined to say to someone, "Oh yeah, you were visiting from Madison. You're an hour away. Just keep the disc." I don't, So it obviously is going to be situational in that sense. But yes, this summer when I was I played an event in Illinois, and then on my way out of town, I stopped at another course that said it was just 9 holes. I'm like, I'm going to go out and try and get this 9-hole course in super quick. And sure enough, on the very first hole, I found a disc, and it had a phone number on the back, and I immediately called it. I think it was a DX Viking. Looked brand new. It was a DX Valkyrie, white DX Valkyrie. Called the number. They got back to me. It was a few holes later, and it ended up being the mother's name was written on it, and she was referencing some kids that her kids or someone's kids that had gone out and played earlier. And I'm like, I'm from out of town. I was thinking, I'm not going to drive to Wisconsin then to turn around and want to mail this back to you. And sure enough, they were locals. And then finally, after a few exchanges of her saying they weren't going to come out and get it at the time, I ended up hiding it underneath a very obscure garbage can, and then took a picture and said, "Here's where it is. Get it whenever you can." And that ended up working out quite well. It's funny. I've actually found a handful of discs this summer, and a lot of the similar situations as to how to return it.
This sounds crazy, I think, but when I find a disc, I don't want it.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
My bag is probably relatively full as it is, so now I have to find a place to stuff it. Like, oh god, it's gonna go in a side pocket or something.
Uh-huh.
And it's a lot. Then I do feel obligated to, like, oh, I got to track someone down, and usually if I find it, try to call right away, because maybe they just lost it, maybe they lost it a week ago. You don't know, but. Selfish maybe is the word. I don't want to go out of my way for somebody. Like,
See,
because it's kind of a pain in the butt. And
No,
so finding a disc is a big is like for
Just
me,
leave it.
It's just like, oh, I found it. Like
That's
I don't want
funny.
to leave it, but I'm just like, I found a disc, crud. And there's a whole obligation that's going with this. So
No, and
but it could be a cool story on one hand. So for the podcast,
and that's funny. I feel almost the opposite. When I find the couple of discs this year, I was elated. I was like, heck yeah, I found somebody's disc. I can't wait to call them and tell them that I have it. And again, the emotions can range from, oh, I didn't even know I had it with me, or, oh, my kid threw it and lost it, and everything in between. I had a genuine excitement for like, I get to be that guy that gets to get this back one way or another to this person. And similarly, though, like, I never find a disc and be like, oh, sweet, and not that I would feel differently if like, oh, this is a 2001 CE Rock that's worth $500, but at no time do I ever pick up a disc and be like, yeah, this would be a great addition to my bag. No. I'd like to throw this.
No, and I would never
I'm
think
over
that. But just in general, like actually the physical act of putting it in a bag, like carrying it,
yeah,
like my bag is probably full.
I know that extra
just,
almost half a pound, those 8 ounces, 7 ounces.
When we
might be the deal breaker
when
for
we
you.
would play tournaments. And we'd find a disc on the course. You're with your group.
Mm-hmm.
I would, oh, look, someone found a disc. You turn it over. Anyone know Sam? Like, no one knows Sam. Oh, okay. I would hand it to somebody. Be like, oh, do you know him? Hand it, and then walk away. So I didn't want to carry it. Now, if it's someone I knew, like, oh, gosh, this is Terry Miller's disc. I'll hold on to this till the end of the tournament, not tell him I have it, because I know he probably wants this disc. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, if it's someone I knew, obviously, then you go right to the person because they're probably at that event.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if I didn't know the person, usually we're out of town anyway. It's just like, oh no, here, do you know him? All right, cool. No, you can turn that into lost and found, and then I would walk away.
Whatever you can do, just get rid of it.
I don't want to be responsible for it because I'm sure I would probably forget it in my bag or something, and then you
like, do take it home, and then it's like, oh man, I gotta mail it to you
okay.
or something. Yeah,
because I would refuse to mail. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'd give it to Terry, and then he'd charge me for mailing.
Exactly,
twice probably what it was worth.
Yep. So this maybe goes hand in hand with another weird, completely unrelated to disc golf, and something I thought about posting to Facebook today. So you guys you can chime in now or or ponder it upon yourself. Is it weird that damn near every single time I go past a bus stop, I think to myself, assuming I'm not in any significant, absolute critical hurry, I always think to myself, man, I'd love to just give that person a ride wherever they need to go. Like, I swear to you, I think it every single day. Just today, I was on Blue Mountain, one of the roads here in Milwaukee area, and a guy was standing out by the bus stop.
Well, you've also dipped into a little bit of Uber in the past.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not even a
charge them.
Yeah, not exactly. It's not a financial thing. I just always think like, man, and maybe riding the bus is some kind of therapy for them, or it's part of their routine, and they would even think it's crazy because it gets them out of their routine. I don't know. But every time I go by a bus stop, especially if there's just one person there, because I think of like, man, they got to wait for I wonder when the bus is coming. And then all of a sudden like schedule, and then I think, where do they connect? I don't know. And where are they going? Is there any chance I'm going in the same direction they are ultimately? And I think I have a problem because I think it every bus stop, every single time I see someone. And then I think, even if I thought didn't think it's weird, clearly no one's going to take me up on it.
No, because you look weird. And
yeah, they shouldn't take me up on it.
Just stop, roll down the window, like, excuse me.
Sir, ma'am, anything? I feel like a woman would be smarter to say no, just sheer.
And I don't think it very often, but when I flew to Minneapolis a couple weeks ago, I had to be on a plane at like 7:30 in the morning. So I am driving at 6 a.m. It's dark over to the airport, and it was windy and cold. And I see some gentlemen at like 6 in the morning walking down the street, like, bundled up, whatever. And I'm just thinking, I was like, that guy, I bet you that guy could use a lift.
Maybe he's going to the airport. Maybe he works at the airport, and you're going there anyway.
But I mean, clearly though, I just kept driving.
I know, but like,
it would be so weird. It'd be so weird to stop and be like, hey, "Sir,
I know.
Can I give you a lift?"
I know, and
Like,
it sucks that in our
awkward.
society that we can't. That it would like I
You
think
can, but you wouldn't get anywhere very
well,
fast.
that's what I
because you'd
mean.
have to
Is you're
stop for everybody,
like you're
Terry. No, just pile in. There's 2 other guys here. We're all kind of going to go in the same direction.
and honestly, your example could be one of the best, and I think about that too. Is you're going somewhere where it's like it's clear they're going to, or you see someone in a subway uniform, and you know that the subway's 10 blocks down, that they're clearly walking to work, and I always just think like, man, I could just give you a lift, and
maybe they have a car and they don't want to lift. Maybe they want to walk.
that's why I say it could be part of their process or their routine. They could be Jared before he was a creep, or known as a creep, and maybe he's just out. They're out on their daily walk. I mean, it could be a lot of things. I'm not assuming anything about necessarily their need, but I always think like, hey, I'm going that way. Like, and now the bus stop is more ambiguous because then I do start thinking I know zero about the Milwaukee area bus maps, and clearly you could be getting on in one suburb, and 3 hours later you could be arriving 25 miles the other way for all I know. And maybe that's exactly what they're doing. But I also think, well, maybe they're going like the general direction. And if I got to go 5 or 10 minutes out of my way, like, yeah, I could give somebody a lift today. And just today, it hit me again. Like, I wish this could be a thing that I could be helpful, but I don't think society's going to allow it.
No, I think they do have like car services you can sign up for volunteering. Like
maybe
where you drive a van for people that need lifts, whether it's if you have the spare. I know it's like it's not spare time because you're kind of already out doing something you want to drive around. But if you're eager to drive people around for free, there are special needs and volunteer stuff that you can drive for. I mean, just in general. I mean,
yeah, I again, somewhat selfishly, I'll say it's the
paint a wizard
randomness
on your car and put.
I mean, it's just the randomness of today specifically. I went out. Somebody wanted to meet up, so I could. He wanted to pick up a carton of boxes, which are still in stock and available. My disc in a box. So I
roundabout way to get that out.
Yeah, that's a big story for this. No, I just met some guy from the internet that wanted to get 100 of my disc in a box, and so I met him today in a parking lot. There's nothing weird about that. But on the way back from there, I just thought, like, I'm not in an immediate hurry, and if this person at this bus stop needed a ride, I wish I could give it to them. And all right, so I'd like to know if anyone else thinks that.
I think a lot of people think that. Like, just, I mean, I'm sure there are times you're just driving and you're not thinking it, but I think anyone with a mild heart sees somebody walking on a day that's probably not the nicest day and says, oh man, it would be really nice if I could just give that person a ride. But for obvious reasons, the people that probably take you up on the ride are probably the ones you don't want to put in your car. Like, yeah, I'll get in your car.
No.
Can I sit right behind you?
I can smell your shampoo already.
Herbal essence, huh?
Yeah.
I like.
I don't know. I picked at one point many years ago. I had picked up a hitchhiker. Obviously, every situation is a little different. If somebody clearly is stranded out on an interstate and it's the middle of the night versus someone that's just genuinely hitchhiking, and then now everything that gets so crazy about all of those situations, to me, I feel like, and maybe it's a safety precaution in my own brain, but I've always felt like if you're at a bus stop, you're probably not hanging out there just waiting to kill a driver. Like, if you're genuinely waiting at a bus stop, a hitchhiker may have other intentions from the onset, but if you're at a bus stop, you're probably not premeditating theft and carjacking and murder. A hitchhiker might have those. I think has a leg up on those.
It's probably
not necessarily.
Slim, but it's probably slim, but yeah, I'm sure. All right, let's give something away, Terry. Again,
I'm giving away free rides.
Terry's giving away free rides. And to be fair, you don't have a windowless van.
No. I just have a Honda Element. Nothing fancy. I just want to get you from point A to point B.
Wizard spray painted on the side of it, but
you'd have your own door you could enter in, and but all right, Johnny, you got some free stuff. I see Ace Run Productions out there, by the way. Good to see you and hear you guys. David John coming in from Thailand says 2,500 baht for my 4-hour drive across southern Thailand. Yeah, that's incredible. Again, different countries. Some place like Thailand, you'll pay anyone a couple hundred baht to take you, and they'll take you just about anywhere. And that's a whole other incredible, much safer situation. That's for sure.
All right, what number are we going to pick, Terry? We have 201 people eligible for our giveaway tonight for this disc.
I don't know how we could go with any number but 3.
Okay.
Podcast
333.
333. Yeah, I think 3 is the magic number.
Couldn't tie it into Adam at all, could you? You thought about it and you couldn't figure out how 3 worked.
No, he's looking for a 3-peat next year at the Shelly Sharpe.
That's what I was going to go with, too.
Yeah,
So.
he didn't play 3 good rounds. He only played 2.
There's no way to tie it.
Adam
Sorry, Adam
got the win. We'll give him that. But
$1,300, which is 1-3.
Yeah.
So, all right, our first number is 180. Our second number is 123. They are sorted by first name tonight. The third number is 47, so I'm going to scroll up to 47, and it is Christina Linthicum. Christina Linthicum.
Touring pro needs a little extra action.
Needs a disc member box. We'll reach out to her and see if she's interested. Sometimes people support and they're not really, but ultimately she's the winner of this. If for some reason she does not want it,
she wants it.
But then she'll let us know and we'll give it away next week or something. But for now, this is Christina Linthicum's. Thank you very much, Christina, for your support.
We appreciate it. Thank you. It is now the right time to call out other top pros for not being Patreon subscribers?
Well, yeah. I think anybody who's not a supporter, we should be calling out right now.
No.
Let me see. Let's start with A for Adam Hammis. Nope, sorry.
D, Drew Gibson. Don't see him in there. No, AB, Anthony Barella.
I don't see him here either.
No.
All the way down to Z for Zach Melton. Nope.
No Zoe Endike either. Gosh, yeah.
Every week we just call it a pro for not sponsoring us.
Come on. We need all the help we can get. All right. Ace Run says, wasn't one of the famous serial killers a hitchhiker? I think most of them have been at one time or another.
Yeah, isn't that on the new Netflix series that they just released? That's the Night Stalker, which sounds like someone that would.
Huh. That sounds like a combination of a Discmania disc and a Discraft disc, right? The Night Stalker. All right. You have your own door as a reason they should trust you. I knew it didn't sound like a good sell as soon as I said it, but you're right. Hey, no. Here's the worst part. My passenger, real quick. Yeah. My passenger side window
is oddly stuck shut.
It is from my side. So if you're sitting in my passenger seat and you want to roll down the window by pressing the button, it's an electric window, you can do that, right? It will go down. But from my side, to control the window, that seems to be broken. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
So I can't roll down. I would have to lean over and then roll down the window or open the door and be like, hey, do you want to get in? You have your own door.
So, say you pick up a hitchhiker.
Wait, hitchhiker or someone sitting at a bus stop? Because I feel those are different.
Hitchhiker.
A full-blown hitchhiker that's like walking down the side of the road with a sign or their thumb up. Okay.
Sure. Front seat, back seat?
Oh, front.
Do you not let them in if they insist on sitting in the back seat?
Well, is that weird? No, let's be specific though. My element.
That's standard. Your element's delivered.
It has like suicide doors, which probably also isn't a good sell. But my element, somebody couldn't sit in the back seat unless they came in through my door. So unlike a normal sedan, so to speak, you can't just get into the back seat of an element on the passenger side. You can't do that easily. Because both doors open up. So, again, my car's a little different. But no, they got to sit in the front seat with you because you can't trust. Like, they could be forming a knot or something in the back or forming their noose or whatever in the back or sharpening blades in the back that you can't see. So they got to sit in the front seat with you. If we're talking hitchhikers.
Okay.
Uber riders, different story.
Of course.
They're
They're
now all Uber have to sit in the back seat, technically.
Does it change the situation if the hitchhiker is male versus female, man or woman?
For me, it wouldn't, but understandably for them.
Like,
what do you mean changes where they sit?
Yeah, like would it be?
No, you still have to have them in the front.
Like,
because they could be sharpening a knife, or they could be, getting some rope ready, or they could be loading their gun. If they're going to do all those things, I want to see it happening in the front seat with me.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, let's just say you pick up a young woman hitchhiker, and she's like, kind of awkward. Having you sit next to me. I'd rather sit in the back. Do you say then like, yeah, no, thank you, please exit the vehicle? I mean. Because not that this is you, but someone sees a young woman hitchhiking and decides to pick her up, and having her right next to it would be the creepier, possibly.
Sure,
scenario.
I understand that. Yeah. I mean, I guess again,
I'm
if they are intentional, but if they are hitchhiking by on purpose, like intentionally hitchhiking, they can't. At that point, I don't think can be. Well, they can be. Yeah, they can be picky.
Sure,
but they know what they're getting themselves into as well.
That sounds so ominous.
No, but I'm just saying, like I
know the situation.
The whole situation's by nature awkward.
I get it.
So, what song are you playing on the radio? That's
like what do you do?
You definitely.
Like Life is a Highway? Do you go right to the traditional?
I mean, because as we all know, the song could really set the mood for a terrible experience.
Like Endless Love or something weird?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Do you let them decide?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's polite. Hey, anything you like or dislike on the radio? And then they're like, I'm not from around here. I don't know the station. And I'd be like,
emphasis on the death.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So you'd prefer to see the ice pick coming at you from the front seat versus the back. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They could be stealing your disc in the back seat. There was an Uber driver in Michigan that shot a bunch of people and picked up Uber. Yeah, I did see that. I did see that story a while ago. I mean, unfortunately, you're going to have your crazies and your, situations that can just unfold no matter what precautions or what happens. But I definitely did see and hear about that a while ago. Do you really have people in the States that want to ride in your car and are sharpening knives? Scary country, man. I mean, I don't think it's.
I would love to know how many people are killed by hitchhikers every year. Probably close to zero.
No, not close to zero. I mean, let's take this to Google. I mean, dozens.
I don't think so.
Dozens.
I don't think so.
There's going to be a lot of unsolved mysteries too. I mean, you kill someone, a hitchhiker kills someone, throws them out the side of their car, and then drives to their destination. They finally get to the bingo and casino that they were trying to get to, or wherever it might be, or they're going to.
Daniel Ginter's with me. It's got to be close to zero.
No. Hit the Googles.
Killed by hitchhiker
per year.
I'm
gonna say.
Is it weird that it auto completed?
Right now, UDisc Matt and Josh are reading your history on your. I'm gonna say no less than. I was gonna say 50, but 25. No less than 25.
I can't. No, I don't think so.
Now you are on.
This is just where hitchhiking is
Death
illegal.
In disguise.
there was it. I'm seeing. Actually, I can probably just show you guys this. There's a website here that has like.
We have not officially verified or independently fact checked this website.
I think
disclaimer.
Just letting people know that back in the 50s.
Didn't you and I pick up one on spring break one year? A guy that I thought we did. No, that wasn't with you.
That wasn't with
that was me and my other 3 hitchhiking friends.
That wasn't.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is
He's trying to close out the show.
I'm done. We're not talking about that, Terry. No,
what-
I hit F11, and that must be the secret
The
key,
hot key?
to the hotkey. I normally have it on my thing here because I wanted to go off of full screen.
All right. Matthew says, all around creepy. Just say to yourself, it would have been nice to give that person a ride. So if we're gonna live in the thought that counts, then I guess I may have to live there. Or I take this on as a mild social experiment to see how many people take me up on it. Maybe I give it a week. Now it's winter here in Wisconsin. Here. Let's take this a step further. It's winter in Wisconsin. It's cold. I mean, it's gonna be like 10 degrees when I leave your house, right?
Yes.
So if I drive by the nearby bus stop that is a block away and there's someone standing there, let's just for the sake of ease say it's a male, and they're standing there, and I kind of lean over to roll down the window or to press the window down. I say, hey, man, would you like a ride? Like, I'd be glad to give you a ride wherever you need to go. Could that be like the official test? Or the start of an official testing. I mean, it's 10 degrees outside. Nobody should be standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus when it's 10 degrees out. And I know people have to, but I feel like that, like, let's just put it this way. That's not a killer. Unless I drive them to, I guess, unless I somehow provoke them to kill. But like, that's not a premeditated killer's thought is, hey, I'm going to stand at this bus stop when it's 10 degrees and hope somebody comes by and offers me a ride, right? In this case. So I feel safe from that perspective. Now, clearly I could be the killer and they could be thinking, oh man, this guy's just driving around on cold nights. But I feel like that'd be a good test. Here's what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to take the slightly more city route, the much more citied route from me out to where I live tonight. And if I see literally any person at any bus stop, I was going to say it won't be bar time, but any person at any bus stop, no, I will offer the ride. I mean, what's the worst I can do? I can offer. They can say, no, thanks, I'm good. Or they could say, yeah, man, and get in and strangle me, I guess. But
Steal your car.
Steal my car. They could do those things. But that's what I will do. And if any opportunity even arises, I will post it, hopefully when I get home, to Facebook. I will post the result of it. And if none, then if you don't see a post from me, that doesn't mean I died. But if any opportunity arises, I will report back to you guys. All right?
So there was a study in California, a 6-month study on the safety of hitchhikers. No hitchhikers were killed or killed anybody.
Good. Well, I mean, good for that study, but
yeah, I don't know. I'm going to guess that because A, there's so few hitchhikers. B, that no,
it's no longer the method of choice.
Correct.
The killing.
They say that from 1979 to 2009, there were 675 reported victims of sexual assault and murder along interstate highways. But that's just, again, over 500 of those were murders, which, is define if that's a hitchhiker or someone getting hit by a car. It doesn't, or hitting. I don't know, but very slim. I think the number is very small, Terry Miller.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel better.
All better. Now,
how many of them are going to accept is the next question.
And yeah, I don't know.
Am I unassuming enough? Is my car? I mean, because your car, like, you pull up in a Tesla versus a beat up 83 rusted Corolla. I don't know if there were 83 Corollas, but your car kind of matters, at least outwardly to them. Not because they're picky of what ride you're getting, but because of the image you're portraying, right? Or clearly the joke of a windowless van, like. No one presumably should take you up on that offer, no matter what you're offering or what time of day or what sex you are. Like, no one should just ever go for that. But
yeah, as someone said, hitchhiking in the day of COVID seems insane.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
but
if they're hitchhiking, they don't have COVID. Clearly,
no,
because it's cold out.
If they're about to get on a city bus or waiting for an Uber or whatever the case might be, they're going to be required to be wearing masks there too. So that's Are you still taking an inherent risk? Absolutely. But then you're putting him in the front seat. Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah, before you.
All right, let's get COVID over with so I can get back to my hitchhiking.
It's so weird. All right. I think we need to end this podcast before things go off the rails.
Before I end your driving career.
Because they've been on the rails so far.
Just some thoughts of mine. I'm sorry, people. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Only in New York do they not pick you up. Ryan Pilcher says, I picked up a hitchhiker once and immediately regretted it, but I dropped him off 15 miles up the road, and I was on and it went smoothly, but it was a weirdo. Okay. Tim says, I'm going to hang out in Wisconsin until Terry picks me up.
It's a good plan.
Ray, you're right. It is a little off the rails. I apologize. Charlie Barons has shown me Wisconsin is the safest place to hitchhike. Truth be told, yeah, our state probably is. I think that does go with our good
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan,
like
kind
the
of
Midwestern vibe of helping people sometimes even when they're not asking for it, or when you're, I mean, stuff like that.
What's the least safe place to hitchhike? What state? California?
I don't know. According to your chart,
I mean, Texas maybe.
Obviously, I mean every
Florida,
various parts.
Florida, nailed it. Like
Florida?
Yes.
I would say New York.
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
Because I mean, most people aren't hitchhiking in New York City, which is where people think of the crime. I'm thinking it's Florida. Like just with all of just Florida being Florida, man. I think. Yeah, everyone's saying definitely Florida. Cool. All right, and when I say everyone, it was Ray.
Nova said, true story, I was walking along I-270 in St. Louis because my van had broken down, and a lady in a cherry Jaguar XJS pulled over to give me a lift to the gas station. Yeah, I mean, time and place matters so much. Mm-hmm. You know, is it clearly someone who's in distress in terms of a vehicle breakdown, or at least that's their story, or is it just someone walking along and it has a big backpack and that's all they have? I mean, I think a lot of those things, factor into it. David says, how safe is biking on the side of the road?
I mean, I think relatively safe.
Yeah, of course, depending on the area. But David, who's in Thailand, I think David told me he refuses to participate in the semi to seriously dangerous act of mopeding around in Thailand. I'm not second guessing that. Some people are not comfortable, operating a moped or scooter in Thailand. I personally love the hell out of it, and that's one of my highlights of going back there, but I'm also very comfortable on bikes. And yes, I know there's an inherent risk, and X amount of people die every day in Thailand riding scooters, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. Most people don't, but there naturally are a few that do. Way more people probably get killed biking on the side of the road than hitchhiking. That I 100% agree with.
There's so many more bikers and just people not paying attention while driving. Most certainly.
Yeah. To bring it off of hitchhiking for a moment, I am now. I know. I am now the proud connoisseur of about another 6 or 7, maybe 8 episodes of Schitt's Creek, and I am enjoying it more and more. I mean, I've always enjoyed it, but now I think I'm into maybe the end of season 3 or so. Did you say there's 8?
Are you talking Schitt's Creek or Letterkenny?
Schitt's Creek.
Okay, no, Schitt's Creek, there's 5 or 6 seasons. Letterkenny, there's like 9. But Letterkenny seasons are like 8 episodes long, I think. Schitt's Creek, I think they have got like 12, maybe.
Whatever it might be. And yes, it's somewhat
series.
Predictable to some degree, but the more and more I reserve it only for basically flights. Because I can download it on my Netflix, and I watched a bunch more episodes this week to and back from Arizona, and I gotta say, if you're not watching it, I think it's a really good series. I find it humorous.
It's great characters. I think that's really what does it. The characters are phenomenal. My wife and I just started watching Fargo. There's 5 seasons of that, and I think we're 2 episodes into season 1.
Any similarities?
To the
Schitt's
movie?
Creek?
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Zero. Yeah, no, not at all. Fargo is this is like a murder mystery kind of. Not saying
Was there
mystery.
hitchhiking involved?
Not yet. I don't. But it wouldn't shock me if there were. No, this is a much different type of series. It's again, I'm 2 episodes in. It seems like something so far that I'm going to like. Probably something you would like as well.
Okay.
Not nearly as comedic, but still some funny parts. So, but we're getting into that.
Also, I guess going back to viewership and viewing briefly about this weekend, one of the bigger stories that I feel like came out of the coverage that we had put out this weekend, J.C. Kester ripping 400 plus foot overhands.
Oh, I did hear about that.
That's his specialty. This is nothing new. If you know him or know of his game, I think he said I filmed him 3 or 4 years ago, maybe somewhere. I forgot where he said it was, but I filmed him before. Again, if you know him, he's a sponsored Discraft player, super nice guy. But people were just mind blown by watching him walk up to so many of the holes out there at Vista. He threw an overhand on hole 7. The first one after the very long walk that plays out at 665, slightly dog legs left. Yeah, water on the right, and then the road and whatnot on the left. And there's some trees that cover the tee area they're literally like over the top of the tee, off the kind of near the back of the tee. He threw an overhand over those trees right there, and still, of course, landed out in the middle of the fairway. But
what's his backhand distance? Like
I wouldn't know because I've never seen one.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he threw one during the round.
You probably have to assume that it's like 350 maybe, and
I don't know about that. I know his forehand distance is phenomenal.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But yeah, he just
he's a great forehand, but he throws a tomahawk.
Yes.
So
I'd have to go do the math, but I don't. It had to be
okay. I mean,
15 of the 18 holes at Vista.
All right,
overhand.
I hope his shoulder can survive.
That's what everyone says.
It. I mean, that's
it hurts my shoulder just looking at it. But anyway, yeah, certainly one of the fun stories from the weekend is just so many. I know the Disc Golf Pro Tour put something out. I know Ultra World grabbed a clip of him throwing from my footage. But yeah, really good stuff. So if you ever. And I think he throws a Z machete quite often because I know that's usually one of the next questions. But Z machete is one of the go-tos that he throws.
Cody asks, what was the last VHS that you rented? I couldn't even fathom to think of the last VHS tape that I rented.
Yeah, rented. How about purchased? Because after a while, they're like, they're like $1.99 at Target or something.
No, because one's DVD like. Kind of thing. I was all in on DVD. Like VHS, I couldn't even. I don't think I rented a VHS through college.
No, I mean, because what 2000-ish or 2001 or when like I bought my DVD player. Yeah. So at that point, like you were all in on DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that might. Yeah, I couldn't tell you either. Try and get Doug the Pirate on the podcast. I know you followed it a little bit more, but is Doug like just a pure
just a jerk?
No, besides that, but I mean, is he must not in any way be like an active, like regular disc golf community type member. Like is he a league type player, or is he just a guy that goes out and plays golf and then happens to be a jerk? You know what I mean? But I think I answered my own question, because if he plays leagues or tournaments, there's likely no way he really sent that in the first place.
Probably
because he would put the I wanted to see the Kester on tour. Yeah, well, go out and check out the action. All right, guys, we will close it out here. We don't want to move into that, I don't know, January 20th timeframe. A few minutes short of it here in Central Time. So, as always, thank you guys for joining us. As always, a little off the rails here in the after show. I'm okay with that.
Get your thumb ready, people, next time you see Terry on the course.
David John, yeah, it's funny he's chiming in. I gave him a ride home from the bar one night, and he's like, "Hey, man, can you give me a..."
Well, that's different. He's a golfer. We know him. Like, not know him, but he's a golfer. He's a part of the community.
I didn't know him that well at the time.
Still.
He could have killed me.
He could have.
Thank you guys for joining us for After Show 333. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks for supporting us via Patreon. And if you got stuff coming, make sure I've got your address so that we can get it out to you. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll see you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.